2 months ago, Chen Yang, a male god in the finance department of Shanghai University, was working part-time at a bar when he unexpectedly had a passionate night with Yi Qingye, the campus beauty. 2 months later, the school beauty came to his door pregnant, and Chen Yang activated the super all-powerful system. Ding, bloodline connected to the host has been detected. Super all-round system is activating. This system will help the host become an all-around king in various fields, possessing endless wealth and overwhelming power and status, and providing the best growth environment for children. Since this is the first time the host has activated the system, she will receive a newbie gift pack. Congratulations, host. You have gained an extraordinary brain domain and have randomly selected a skill to reach the maximum level. From then on, Chen Yang made great strides and won various god-level titles. In just a few years after graduation, he built his own business empire, leaving behind countless legends in various industries. Just now, the entrance to room 405 in the boys' dormitory. Hello, does Chen Yang from the finance department live here? A stunningly beautiful woman with delicate features, a tall and slender figure and graceful curves, wearing a white casual outfit and a knee-length pencil skirt, knocked on the dormitory door and asked a question. I heard someone knocking on the door. At this moment, Zhu Kai, who was sitting at the door, casually opened the door. The next second, his eyes widened, his face filled with surprise and excitement, and he stared at Yi Qingye with almost obsessive eyes. You are Yi Qingye. Yi Qingye, the goddess of the foreign language department, and recognized by all the male students in the school as the most beautiful campus belle of Shanghai University. Yi Qingye wasn't overly surprised when Zhu Kai recognized her at a glance. After all, her fame at school was already extremely high. She smiled slightly and asked softly, "Hello, classmate, is Chen Yang here?" "School beauty Yi, you're looking for Chen Yang?" Zhu Kai asked in shock. He couldn't understand how his good roommate had gotten involved with Yi Qingye. However, he still answered truthfully, "I'm really sorry, he's not in the dorm. He's usually working part-time off campus at this time. Is there something urgent you need him for? I have his phone number, I can call him for you." Chen Yang is the undisputed heartthrob of the finance department at Shanghai University. He is handsome, academically excellent, and an absolute star on campus. He was recognized as an excellent student by school leaders and faculty members. At the same time, he is also the male god that countless girls are eager to confess their love to. Among them were several senior students from the dance club and heiresses from wealthy families. I do have something urgent to attend to. If it's convenient, could you please have him come back as soon as possible? Yi Qingye recalled what had happened to her. Her expression turned somewhat cold, and even her tone of voice became more serious. Upon hearing this, Zhu Kai didn't ask any more questions, but his hands moved quickly. He immediately took out his phone and called Chen Yang, and took the initiative to explain the whole story. Just then, Chen Yang arrived at the school gate. Less than 15 minutes. He appeared at the dormitory door. "Chen Yang, can we find a place to talk?" Yi Qingye stood in front of Chen Yang and said in a cold voice. "Good." Chen Yang looked at Yi Qingye, who had an unparalleled beauty and outstanding temperament, and was known as the most beautiful campus belle goddess in the past century of Shanghai University. Involuntarily, my mind drifted back to 2 months ago, when I had a one-night stand with the other person by a twist of fate. The scene was like a dream, although I don't understand why the other party has only come to question me now. But Chen Yang had already made preparations in his heart. After all, he wasn't the kind of man who lacked responsibility and was unwilling to take charge. Under Zhu Kai's incredulous gaze, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye left the dormitory. The two arrived at a relatively secluded pavilion on the back hill of the school. Chen Yang gazed at the stunningly beautiful woman before him, and for a moment he hesitated to speak. But as a man, there are some things he simply cannot and should not refuse. Finally, he mustered up the courage to apologize. "Yi Qingye, I'm sorry. Although it wasn't my intention that night, we still ended up having sex. Whether you hit me, scold me, or make me take responsibility, I will have no complaints." 2 months ago, Yi Qingye's best friend, Su Menjiao, was heartbroken after her breakup and dragged her to a bar for drinks. The two women were strikingly beautiful, had amazing charisma and hot figures, which quickly attracted the attention of people with ulterior motives. Chen Yang happened to be working part-time at a bar and immediately recognized Yi Qingye. Out of kindness, I stepped forward to help them out of their predicament and took them to the business hotel next door to check in. Unexpectedly, Yikingyia seemed to have been drugged. As Chen Yang was about to leave, she held onto his hand tightly and made various seductive and flirtatious gestures. As the two struggled, Yikingya's clothes gradually came off, revealing her alluring figure. Chen Yang was, after all, a hot-blooded young man who had never had a girlfriend. Faced with the temptation before him, he couldn't resist for a moment. In addition, the effects of the drug in Yikingya's body took hold, causing her to gradually lose consciousness and take the initiative to kiss Chen Yang. The two quickly lost control and engaged in a more in-depth conversation. Afterwards, when Chen Yang woke up, he found the bed empty except for a bright red bloodstain. This made him feel very guilty. He wanted to find an opportunity to personally apologize to Yikingyia. However, Yikingyia deliberately avoided him. Chen Yang thought the matter was over, but he didn't expect Yikingyia to take the initiative to come to him. I'm pregnant. Yikingyia looked at Chen Yang with an extremely complicated expression. After a long pause, she slowly spoke. However, this news caught Chen Yang completely off guard. What, you're pregnant? Chen Yang's brain went blank for a moment, and he was completely stunned on the spot. One shot, one kill. No, that night I tasted meat for the first time, so it's no wonder I ate it a few more times. But this luck is just too good. Chen Yang was both amused and exasperated. However, the next second, an intelligent electronic voice rang in his mind. Bloodline connected to the host's flesh and blood detected. Super all-round system is activating. This system will help the host become a king in various fields, giving the host endless wealth and immense power, and providing the best growth environment for the child. Chen Yang was overjoyed. A cheat code has appeared. I'm on the verge of a meteoric rise to the pinnacle of life. Before he could even begin to study the functions of this super, all-powerful system, Chen Yang immediately met Yikingya's gaze with a serious expression. Yikingyia, don't worry, Chen Yang, I'm definitely not the kind of irresponsible man who lacks a sense of duty. I've never had a girlfriend before, but if you're willing from now on, you'll be my girlfriend. As for the child, I want you to give birth to it. I promise you that I will do everything in my power to create the best living conditions for you and the child, and I will never let you suffer any injustice. If it were before, Chen Yang might lack confidence, but now he's a man with a cheat code. Supporting a family is no problem at all. Chen Yang, are you serious? Yikingyia was quite surprised after hearing Chen Yang's words. She comes from a wealthy family and lives a comfortable life. Parents and relatives either hold high positions within the system or are prominent figures in the business world. Given her family background, her future man is destined to be no ordinary person. As expected, after she graduates, her family will introduce her to various scions of prominent families or outstanding young talents in various industries. She only needs to choose one of these people that she likes, and who is a good match for her in terms of social status to marry. I never expected this to happen. Yikingyia had someone investigate her privately. Chen Yang is handsome, academically excellent, and highly capable, but his family background is quite ordinary. Such a man would be considered a rare and excellent son-in-law in an ordinary family. But if this were applied to Yikingyia, it would be difficult to gain the approval of her family. In addition, Yikingyia and Chen Yang were not familiar with each other and did not have a stable emotional foundation. Therefore, Yikingyia was also hesitant about how to handle this matter. But regardless, Chen Yang did not shirk his responsibility, demonstrating a man's commitment and courage. This alone was enough to make Yikingyia look at him differently. Yikingyia, we don't know each other well, and that night was an accident. But since God has given us this opportunity, it proves that there is still some kind of fate between us. If you are willing to believe in me and give me a chance, I will prove to you that I am better than you think and have enough ability to make you happy. Chen Yang's eyes shone brightly, and his tone was full of confidence. Yikingyia was stunned for a moment, and after thinking for a while, she looked up at Chen Yang again. She didn't know where this man in front of her got his confidence from. However, she was willing to give him a chance. Chen Yang, to be honest, when I found out I was pregnant, my first reaction wasn't to have an abortion, but to find out what kind of man you really are. Through my private investigation, I know that you are academically excellent, highly capable, gentle in nature, very cautious in your relationships, and very ambitious. Aside from your ordinary family background, you don't have any obvious weaknesses. If I'm willing to trust you and try dating you, are you confident you can convince my family to approve of you? Chapter 2, Newbie Gift Pack. Extraordinary Brain Domain. Host can freely select a skill to upgrade to the maximum level. Of course, Chen Yang answered decisively, without the slightest hesitation. Okay, then I'm willing to give you a chance. I consulted with the hospital, and they said that if the fetus is within 4 to 5 months of pregnancy, the baby can still be removed surgically. We'll have a 3-month period. If we spend this time together and you can make me fall for you, and at the same time prove to me that you have the ability to support me and our child, then we'll get married. If you can't do that, then you have to forget everything that happened between us. From now on, we'll be strangers. I will also get rid of the baby in my belly. Yi Qingye looked at Chen Yang with a serious expression and said, this is the best solution she can think of right now. She wanted to give the child and Chen Yang a chance. No wonder Yi Qingye was heartless. If her parents find out what happened to her, things will definitely escalate. At that time, Chen Yang's fate will definitely not be good. Secondly, through her understanding and observation of Chen Yang, Yi Qingye discovered that he was quite outstanding. If we can eventually be together, even though the process is rather bizarre, it might still be a wonderful thing. After all, in her opinion, Chen Yang was a reliable man. No problem, then it's settled, Chen Yang said with a happy expression. Then go back to your dorm and pack your things. I've rented a place near the school. You can move in there and it'll be easier to have someone to look after you. Yi Qingye is currently pregnant, although her belly is not very noticeable. However, to avoid being discovered by others, she specifically rented a house outside. Fortunately, she has completed all her credits and is just waiting to finish her internship certificate and thesis, so she can get her graduation certificate smoothly, which can be considered as drawing a perfect end to her college life. Otherwise, if she continues to attend school, her secret will be discovered sooner or later. Pregnancy before marriage. This is an absolutely huge scandal for her. It could even become a stain on her life. Okay, I'll go now. Chen Yang readily agreed. Soon, Chen Yang returned to his dormitory and began packing his things. Seeing Chen Yang's actions, his roommate Zhu Kai became curious and couldn't help but gossip. Brother Chen, why are you packing your things? Could it be that I'm going to move out and live with school beauty Yi? Chen Yang smiled slightly. Kaizai, you really guessed right. Dong Ji and Liang Ji aren't here. When they come back, please tell them. Holy crap, that's Yi Qingye, the most beautiful campus belle goddess in Shanghai University's history. She's beautiful, has a sweet voice and a hot body. The key is, she's also a rich and beautiful woman. So many boys in our school want to get close to her. How did you manage to get her? Tell me honestly, when exactly did you get together with school beauty Yi? Guys, how come you didn't notice anything at all? Zhu Kai was immediately filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Although in the past, quite a few beautiful women had expressed their love for Chen Yang. But a campus beauty goddess like Yi Qingye would absolutely outshine those ordinary girls. Moreover, Yi Qingye was also Zhu Kai's goddess. But now they have fallen into Chen Yang's hands. How could Zhu Kai remain unmoved? He genuinely wanted Chen Yang to teach him a course, determined to learn a few tricks and make another effort for his younger brother's happiness. It's a long story. I'll explain it to you when I have the chance later. After saying that, Chen Yang then focused on packing his luggage. Fortunately, there wasn't much stuff. A few changes of clothes and some daily necessities were all packed into one suitcase. After that, Chen Yang pushed his suitcase and left the dormitory building. After leaving the school, he hailed a taxi and headed towards Yuxuan Garden residential area. Take advantage of this gap. Chen Yang calmed down and began to study the super omnipotent system that had just been activated. System, are you still there? Chen Yang silently recited in his heart. Dear host, this system is at your service 24 hours a day. Immediately, an electronic voice rang in his mind. Chen Yang asked curiously, System, what functions do you have? This system will transform the host into an omniscient, omnipotent, and super genius. Human scan initiated. A few seconds later, a light blue virtual screen appeared in front of Chen Yang. The following skills have been detected in the host. Financial investment, beginner. Cooking, beginner. Driving, beginner. Foreign language, beginner. Since this is the first time the host has activated the system, she will receive a newbie gift pack. Host, would you like to open the newbie gift pack? Chen Yang excitedly said, open it. Congratulations, host. You have gained an extraordinary brain and are free to choose a skill to reach the maximum level. As soon as the system finished speaking, a flash of golden light followed, and a strong tearing sensation shot through his brain. In just a few seconds, a dramatic change occurred in the brain. Chen Yang persevered with astonishing willpower, gritting his teeth and enduring the ordeal. Fortunately, the abnormality did not last long and returned to normal in less than 2 minutes. At that moment, he felt that his memory had become incredibly powerful. The scenes that were once blurry in his childhood are now as clear as photographs when he recalls them. Even the people and things he had seen left an incredibly deep impression on him. As expected of an extraordinary brain domain, it not only gave my brain a second development, but also gave me the ability to remember everything I see. This will definitely be a huge help to my studies and future career. Chen Yang was incredibly excited after receiving the reward from the system. System, what are the levels of the skills I possess? Beginner, elementary, advanced, master, and god level. Upon receiving the system's reply, Chen Yang was so excited he almost shouted out loud, thinking of his newbie gift pack, which allowed him to freely choose a skill to reach the maximum level. Chen Yang immediately made a decision based on his current situation. System, help me upgrade my financial investment to the maximum level. As the host wishes. The next second, Chen Yang felt a slight swelling in his brain. Then, countless pieces of knowledge and techniques related to financial investment instantly flooded my mind. Fortunately, he gained an extraordinary brain region with a sufficiently large brain capacity. Otherwise, you definitely get overwhelmed by such a massive amount of knowledge. Congratulations, host, your financial investment, beginner, skill has been upgraded to God level, and you have been awarded the title of God of Investment. The God of Investment. Whether in the financial markets, stock markets, or any business investment, you are a god-like figure in these fields. Once you enter the investment arena, you will possess god-like analytical abilities and judgment, making the right moves at the right time. After reading the text on the screen, Chen Yang gained great confidence in his future career. 15 minutes later, following the address provided by Yiqingye, Chen Yang took the elevator to the door of room 506. Knock, knock, knock. Chen Yang raised his hand and knocked on the door. A few seconds later, the door opened from the inside, and Yiqingye appeared in front of Chen Yang. Chen Yang, I didn't expect you to come so quickly. The house hasn't even been cleaned yet. Yiqingye looked embarrassed and said, It's okay, I'll take care of it. Chen Yang smiled slightly and said, Come in first. I'll show you around the house and tell you some things we need to be aware of when we live together. Yiqingye stepped aside and quickly invited Chen Yang into the house. Chapter 3, Royal Dragon Garden Residential Complex, starting cohabitation with the school beauty. Seeing this, Chen Yang didn't hesitate and strode into the house with his suitcase. The Yulong Garden Residential Community is only 5 or 6 kilometers away from Shanghai University, which takes only 10 minutes by car. The location is excellent, with convenient transportation. The subway is just a few hundred meters away. The surrounding area has complete shopping malls and supermarkets. In addition, the location is close to the city center, so the house is expensive. A good apartment layout costs 70,000 to 80,000 yuan per square meter. Even the less desirable ones cost 50,000 to 60,000 yuan per square meter. Yiqingye's house has 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, covering an area of more than 80 square meters, with a separate bathroom and balcony. The house is designed in a modern, minimalist, and understatedly luxurious style, which is very popular among young people. By understanding, Yiqingye rented this house. The rent is 6,000 yuan per month, with a deposit of 2 months' rent and 3 months' rent paid in advance, settled quarterly. Yiqingye took out 30,000 yuan in one go to pay off the rent. This alone is enough to prove that she comes from a wealthy family and is a true heiress. After all, the average college student's monthly living expenses are only 1 or 2,000 yuan. Even if their family is slightly better off, they might only give them 4 or 5,000 yuan at most. After paying the 30,000 yuan rent, Yiqingye was not short of money, which shows that she still had a lot of savings. Otherwise, they wouldn't have rented such a high-end apartment complex outside the school. They have high standards for their quality of life and their own savings. These facts alone are enough to prove that Yiqingye's family background is not simple. However, given Chen Yang's current relationship with Yiqingye, it's not appropriate to inquire too much about just how extraordinary she is. Chen Yang, what would you like to drink? Mineral water or juice? After Yiqingye showed Chen Yang around the house, seeing Chen Yang sitting on the living room sofa, he then spoke up and asked, I'm fine with either. Chen Yang replied with a smile. Upon hearing this, Yiqingye took a bottle of mineral water from the refrigerator and handed it directly to Chen Yang. Thanks. Chen Yang quickly accepted it and politely thanked him. You're welcome. I just moved here too, and have lived here for less than half a month. We don't have any bottled water at home, so I bought a few cases of mineral water at the supermarket to keep on hand. I usually drink this. I'm just glad you don't mind. As Yikingyia spoke, her gaze fell on Chen Yang, scrutinizing him carefully. He has handsome features and an outstanding temperament. His eyes were bright and deep, giving off an air of wisdom. Moreover, he exudes both masculinity and youthful charm. Yikingyia has seen many handsome men and so-called young talents, but so far, no one has ever truly moved her heart. Otherwise, she wouldn't still be single until graduation. As a campus belle and goddess in Shanghai, she has no shortage of suitors and admirers. These people are either wealthy second-generation heirs who drive luxury cars worth millions, wear expensive watches, and are dressed in top-tier designer clothes, or they are top-performing geniuses in their respective colleges. Compared to her suitors, Chen Yang's advantages were not obvious, but Chen Yang ended up having a relationship with her by a twist of fate. Therefore, Chen Yang's position in her heart became somewhat special. I don't mind. Chen Yang shook his head, then asked, what exactly were the precautions you mentioned for living together? Yikingyia smiled slightly, but did not offer any explanation. She immediately turned around and went back to her room, took out a pre-prepared set of cohabitation guidelines, and handed it to Chen Yang. Chen Yang took it and examined it carefully. Precautions for cohabitation. First, the man cannot enter the woman's room without her consent. Second, the man and woman should not sleep in the same bed before their relationship is formally established. Third, during cohabitation, the man must take responsibility for taking care of the woman's daily needs. Fourth, the man must not bring strangers home, and he must not casually disclose the couple's cohabitation relationship. Fifth, the man must not smoke or drink excessively at home, nor should he stay up late and disrupt his sleep schedule. I wrote more than a dozen points. Although there were many things to pay attention to, fortunately, they were not too harsh on Chen Yang. That's all. Is there anything else? After reading it, Chen Yang looked up at Yikingyia and asked with a smile, Chen Yang, you don't think I'm being unreasonable, do you? Yikingyia looked a little nervous, afraid that her explanation of cohabitation precautions would displease Chen Yang. At this moment, she is no longer the aloof goddess in the eyes of male university students in Shanghai. Like a fairy who has fallen to earth, she has her own emotions and desires. I'll feel nervous, shy, and experience all sorts of little emotions. It becomes more realistic and three-dimensional. Chen Yang subconsciously shook his head and said with a smile, no, your requests are all very reasonable. I can do it if I pay a little attention. That's good. After receiving a clear answer from Chen Yang, Yikingyia breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Yang, we need some time to get to know each other, and living together is the best way. When we encounter problems, I hope we can sit down and communicate effectively. What do you think? Yikingyia said, I completely agree with your point of view. Chen Yang nodded. Through their interactions, his affection for Yikingyia is steadily increasing. He discovered that Yikingyia was not only beautiful and had a sweet voice, but also had a stunning figure and an excellent personality. Most importantly, their thinking and cognition are more mature than those of girls their age. Based on these factors, Chen Yang guessed that Yikingyia's family background must be extraordinary. After all, Yikingyia's eloquence, refinement, and vision were far beyond what women from ordinary families could match. If he could truly have such an outstanding wife in every way, Chen Yang felt that his life would undoubtedly be much more fulfilling. He secretly made up his mind. Within these 3 months, no matter how much effort it takes, I must pass Yikingyia's test and get married to her. A wife, kids, and a warm bed. If Chen Yang can achieve this in one step, he will definitely be far ahead of his peers. Chen Yang, can you cook? Yikingyia suddenly asked him. Yikingyia grew up in luxury and never had to lift a finger. So after moving out of the school and into this place, she has been eating out at restaurants or ordering takeout, and has never turned on the stove in the kitchen. Since she was going to be living with Chen Yang, Yikingyia naturally didn't want them to continue eating takeout. It's not because the price is high. It's just that I feel takeout isn't as hygienic as cooking at home. Therefore, Yikingyia was particularly concerned about this issue. Of course. Are you hungry? What would you like to eat? I'll make it for you and let you try my cooking. Chen Yang nodded and immediately asked Yikingyia. Children from poor families learn to be independent early. Chen Yang comes from an ordinary family. His parents are farmers who work in their hometown county town, earning a meager salary of a few thousand yuan to support the family. Although they are not rich, They have never lacked anything for him. Chen Yang started to be independent from junior high school onwards, doing laundry, cooking, housework, and taking care of his younger brother. Therefore, Chen Yang appears more mature than his peers. Even after being admitted to Shanghai University and receiving a full scholarship every year, he still used his spare time to work part-time to earn more money to help ease the burden on his family. There's no food in the refrigerator, so we need to go to the supermarket to buy some. Yiqingya has no cooking skills, so every time she goes to the supermarket, she only buys some snacks and daily necessities, but never buys ingredients, so there are naturally no supplies in the refrigerator. It's okay, there's still plenty of time. We can go out and buy the ingredients and cook them. It won't take long. Chen Yang smiled and made the suggestion. Okay, whatever you say. Seeing that Chen Yang had already said so, Yiqingya naturally wouldn't refuse. Soon, the two took the elevator out of the residential area and arrived at a nearby supermarket. A handsome man and a beautiful woman, such a high-value combination. Along the way, it immediately attracted the attention of others, who couldn't help but take a few more glances. Fortunately, Chen Yang and Yiqingya were already used to such scenes, so it did not have a significant impact. Chen Yang pushed the shopping cart, and he and Yiqingya quickly arrived at the food section. "Qingya, what kind of food do you like to eat?" Chen Yang didn't rush to select ingredients. His gaze gently fell on Yiqingya, and he asked. It seems he wanted to cook a few dishes that Yiqingya liked, in order to showcase his culinary skills. "Chen Yang, you're so confident you must be a great cook. Did you perhaps receive formal training?" Yiqingya's beautiful eyes flickered, and she couldn't help but ask. "No, I only know how to order ordinary home-style dishes. But you can tell me what kind of dishes you like to eat. I have time, and I can learn to cook them." Chen Yang shook his head and replied in a very serious tone. Chapter 4. Knife Skills and Culinary Arts from Beginner to Elementary. Yiqingya's expression suddenly froze. At that moment, she felt a surge of importance placed on her by Chen Yang. There was a hint of secret delight, but mostly it was heartwarming and sweet. After a while, Yiqingya then said to Chen Yang, "I like Cantonese and Shandong cuisine." Chen Yang asked softly, "Are there any dietary restrictions?" "I can't eat spicy food very well, and since I'm pregnant now, my diet should be mainly light," Yiqingya said with a smile. "Okay, I've got it," Chen Yang said with a solemn expression. Then Chen Yang began selecting fresh ingredients. Romaine lettuce, bok choy, lean meat, marbled beef, shrimp, carrots, spare ribs, sea bass. I also bought various seasonings such as oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and white pepper powder. Before I knew it, my shopping cart was full. Yiqingya watched from the sidelines without interfering at all. Judging from how knowledgeable Chen Yang is, his cooking skills must be pretty good. That's good, at least we won't have to keep eating takeout anymore. It's not that she's stingy or can't afford takeout. In contrast, Yiqingya preferred to eat the food cooked by her own family. The two arrived at the cashier. When Yiqingya took out her phone to pay, Chen Yang stopped her. "Qingya, let me pay." Chen Yang still retains some of his chauvinistic tendencies. When he goes out with girls, he never lets them spend money. "Good." Seeing Chen Yang's serious expression, Yiqingya did not refuse. Although she was not short of money, Chen Yang was willing to make sacrifices for her. This small detail made her feel quite fond of him. After paying the bill, Chen Yang picked up the shopping bags and returned to their rented apartment with Yiqingya. They bought a lot of things, enough for the two of them to eat for several days. Chen Yang took out some ingredients to cook later and put the rest in the refrigerator to keep them fresh. "Qingya, why don't you sit on the sofa in the living room and rest for a while? I'll let you know when I'm done cooking." Chen Yang saw Yiqingya standing beside him, seemingly intending to help him. He considered that she was pregnant and that the e-liquid was bad for her and the fetus. So he smiled and said to Yiqingya, "It's okay, I'd like to see your cooking skills for myself." Yiqingya shook her head, declining Chen Yang's offer. She just wanted to stand by and watch Chen Yang cook with her own eyes. This was a rare and interesting thing for her. "Okay, then remember to stand far away. If you feel uncomfortable, just leave." Seeing that he couldn't persuade Yiqingya otherwise, Chen Yang had no choice but to agree. Then he carried the ingredients into the kitchen. First, pick and wash the vegetables. Then, rinse the beef with water and place it on the cutting board. Hold the knife in your right hand and prepare to slice the meat into thin slices. Host detected cooking. Knife skills plus 1000. Culinary proficiency plus 1000. Host's knife skills have improved from beginner to intermediate level, and cooking skills have improved from beginner to intermediate level. Friendly reminder. The higher the proficiency, the higher the skill level. Just then, the system's voice suddenly rang in Chen Yang's mind. Cutting meat can increase my knife skills and cooking level. Chen Yang was secretly delighted. Then he quickly asked, System, are there different levels for knife skills? Any skill that the host possesses will be categorized by default into beginner, elementary, advanced, master, and god level. Proficiency levels of 0-100 are beginner level, 1,000 and above is beginner, 5,000 and above is advanced, and 10,000 and above is master level. As for the god level, it can only be achieved through system upgrades. In other words, Chen Yang can easily learn any skill he acquires, and he can also increase his proficiency and level up quickly through practice. However, to reach the god level, one can only rely on system upgrades. Simply grinding proficiency will only raise the skill level to master at most. It truly lives up to its reputation as a super all-around system. Chen Yang only needs to study a little bit to master any skill in a short period of time. And leveling up skills by grinding proficiency is simply insane. For the average person, mastering a skill can be achieved by spending time practicing. But to become proficient, it takes at least several years of dedicated study. If one lacks talent, even spending decades may not guarantee reaching the master level. However, there is no threshold for Chen Yang to improve a certain skill. In comparison, the difference is immediately apparent. Although Yiqingya doesn't know how to cook, she has a good eye for food. She could clearly sense that Chen Yang's knife skills were superb and had reached a certain level of expertise. It's not much inferior to the chefs who cook at home. In the blink of an eye, under his skillful knife work, the beef was sliced into thin, translucent slices with clear texture. That wasn't all. Chen Yang cut faster and faster, to the point that Yiqingya's eyes couldn't keep up with his movements at all. Chen Yang quickly prepared all the ingredients. Heat oil in a wok until it's steaming. Then add all the ingredients, such as chopped green onions, garlic, and bay leaves, and fry them. After a while, I used a spatula to scoop out the ingredients, and then poured the chopped beef into the pot. Chen Yang gripped the pot handle with one hand, and with a slight exertion he pushed and pulled back and forth, causing the beef to flip up into the air. The flames at the bottom of the pot suddenly burst into flames. At this moment, Chen Yang's chef demeanor and aura were on full display. Wow, that's amazing. His wok-flipping technique is so skillful. You can't do this without 3 to 5 years of chef experience. Chen Yang's cooking skills are clearly so amazing, yet he acts so modestly. If I hadn't insisted on watching him cook in the kitchen, I probably would have been kept in the dark. Standing behind Chen Yang, Yiqingya stared in shock at the scene before her. She then realized that she had underestimated Chen Yang's cooking skills. At the same time, she felt a sense of joy. The better Chen Yang's cooking skills are, the more delicious food she will enjoy, and the less she will need to order takeout anymore. Chen Yang didn't notice Yiqingya's change at all. After his cooking skills improved, he found it much easier to cook. About an hour, 4 dishes and a soup freshly prepared. Stir-fried beef with scallions, stir-fried cabbage with pork, stir-fried shrimp, stir-fried lettuce, and a seaweed and egg drop soup. Not only are the dishes visually appealing, delicious, and fragrant, but Chen Yang's plating also makes them look exceptionally appealing. To the uninitiated, it would look like the work of a hotel chef. Chen Yang served Yiqingya a bowl of rice and chopsticks. Qingya, try my cooking and see if it suits your taste. Yiqingya had been eagerly anticipating it for a long time, but in order to maintain her image, she still tried her best to restrain herself. Even so, a hint of excitement and anticipation still showed on her face. Chen Yang saw this but did not point it out. That's why I quickly let her taste the dishes. All right, then I won't stand on ceremony. As soon as he finished speaking, Yiqingya picked up a piece of beef with her chopsticks and put it in her mouth to eat. I've only taken a few bites. The beef and the prepared broth exploded on her taste buds. In just 2 seconds, Yiqingya's eyes widened, and her expression became quite varied. The beef paired with this broth is simply delicious, tender, and leaves a lingering fragrance on your lips and teeth. Chen Yang, your cooking skills are really amazing, even better than some of the chefs in hotels. Yiqingya gave Chen Yang a thumbs up and didn't hold back her praise. All I can say is that Chen Yang's culinary skills were a huge shock to her. Is it really as exaggerated as you say? Chen Yang was skeptical, so he picked up his chopsticks, took a piece of beef, and ate it. The fresh aroma and tenderness of the beef exploded in his mouth. The taste was unexpectedly delicious. It's so addictive that you just can't stop eating it. Holy crap! With only basic cooking skills, how did my dishes become so delicious? That's unbelievable. Chen Yang underestimated the system's ability to improve his culinary skills. Originally, he only knew how to cook simple home-style dishes. The taste was only so-so. There's still a noticeable gap between them and the chefs at other hotels. But nowadays, even a beginner's culinary skill level is already at the level of a hotel chef. Once he possesses advanced culinary skills, master-level culinary skills, or even god-level culinary skills, how delicious will the dishes taste? Chen Yang dared not even think about it, but he was certain that it would be so good that people would rave about it and be unable to stop eating it. Chapter 5, Dormitory Brothers, all of them are from rich second generations. Yi Qingye also sampled several dishes, and she praised their taste highly. Normally, she doesn't eat much. However, because Chen Yang's cooking was so delicious, they accidentally ate too much. Yi Qingye secretly glanced at Chen Yang. Seeing that the other party had not noticed anything unusual about him, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Yang's cooking is so delicious. If I eat like this today, I'll definitely gain several pounds in no time. Yi Qingye was both happy and troubled. Fortunately, Chen Yang has such good cooking skills, so she can enjoy such delicious meals every day from now on. The problem is that if she can't control her eating, she doesn't know how many pounds she'll gain in the future. Yi Qingye is very satisfied with her current figure. She would not accept it if she were to lose weight around her waist but gain a little more weight. Qingye, do you like the dishes I made? Chen Yang looked at Yi Qingye and asked with anticipation. Yi Qingye comes from a wealthy family and is used to eating delicacies, so her tastes are naturally much more discerning than those of ordinary people. But Chen Yang felt that his cooking skills were now comparable to those of hotel chefs, which should be enough to satisfy Yi Qingye's appetite. As the saying goes, to win a woman's heart, you must first win her stomach. Food is Chen Yang's best weapon. Delicious, every dish is beautifully presented, fragrant and delicious, and tastes authentic. Chen Yang, with you cooking for me from now on, I won't need to go to hotels to enjoy delicious meals. Yi Qingye affirmed Chen Yang's culinary skills, sparing no praise. Such a reply filled Chen Yang with a sense of pride. I'm glad you like it. I know many other dishes, and I can cook a different one every day. I'm sure you'll be satisfied. Chen Yang smiled and replied. After the meal, Chen Yang then began to clear the dishes and utensils, taking everything that needed washing into the kitchen. It took about 10 minutes to wash the dishes and clean the kitchen. Yi Qingye sat on the living room sofa, glancing at the kitchen every now and then. He thought to himself, I never expected Chen Yang to be so efficient when he gets to work. Clearly, she was satisfied with Chen Yang's performance. Autumn lethargy and summer fatigue. Yi Qingye sat on the sofa and suddenly felt a little sleepy. Chen Yang came out of the kitchen after finishing his work and happened to see her yawning, looking sleepy. He couldn't help but ask her with concern, Qingye, would you like to take a nap in your room? I've heard that pregnant women need to get enough sleep to help the baby develop. After listening, Yi Qingye felt that there was some truth to it. Okay, then I'll go take a nap. The front door of my house has a combination lock, and the password is my birthday, 991,102. If you have other things to do, you can go ahead and take care of them. After saying that, he got up and started to walk towards his room. However, Yi Qingye had only taken a few steps when she suddenly turned to Chen Yang and asked, It seems we haven't added Green Bubble as a friend, nor do we have each other's contact information, right? How about we add each other? It'll be easier to keep in touch later. Chen Yang nodded quickly, took out his phone from his pocket, added Yi Qingye as a friend on Green Bubble, and exchanged phone numbers. Qingye, I need to go back to school later. Let me know if anything happens after you wake up. Chen Yang gave him some words of advice, still worried. Okay, I understand. Yi Qingye smiled and agreed. Watching Chen Yang's departing figure, Yi Qingye felt a strange, inexplicable emotion welling up inside her, though she herself was unaware of it. Chen Yang walked out of the entrance of Yulong Garden residential area, hailed a taxi, and headed towards Shanghai University. Half an hour later, he appeared in room 405. Zhu Kai rubbed his eyes, his expression filled with shock and teased with a playful look. Brother Chen, didn't you just pack up and move out this morning? How come you're back so soon? Could it be that he did something bad and angered school beauty Yi, and got kicked out of the house? Upon hearing this, Chen Yang laughed and cursed, Get lost! You're just hoping I'll be kicked out, aren't you? After a while, he finally spoke up to explain. I came back to get my computer and also to discuss something with a few of you guys. Chen Yang hadn't forgotten. His financial investment skills were upgraded to the maximum level by the system, earning him the title of God of Investment. It is no exaggeration to say that his current investment capabilities are terrifyingly strong. The 3-month agreement with Yi Qingye was neither a long nor a short time. He needed to accumulate initial capital rapidly during this period in order to prove his abilities to Yi Qingye. Financial investment is undoubtedly the best way for him to rise to prominence. There is no other. Chen Yang has worked part-time to support himself during his studies over the years, and has also received full scholarships every year. After deducting daily expenses and the tens of thousands of yuan he sent home, he now had less than 30,000 yuan left. Even a skilled cook can't cook without rice. Even with extraordinary abilities, Chen Yang couldn't achieve meteoric success if he lacked investment funds. Therefore, upon returning this time, Chen Yang clearly intended to borrow money from his close friends in the dormitory. Zhu Kai is from Jiangsu and Zhejiang. His family runs a chain of hotels, and his father is a well-known, wealthy businessman in the area. Wu Dong, a native of Shanghai, comes from a family whose father made his fortune in real estate, with investments spanning hotels, restaurants, clothing, and tourism. His mother is the vice president of a Shanghai bank. His relatives are either business tycoons or high-ranking government officials, making him a true second-generation rich kid. Hao Liang, nicknamed Handsome Guy, hails from northeast China. True to his name, he's a towering 1.88 meters tall, with thick eyebrows, large eyes, a straight posture, and a robust build. His family owns a trading company, primarily dealing in rice, cooking oil, fruits, and vegetables. It's a large-scale business and a well-known trading tycoon in northeast China. In room 405, apart from Chen Yang, the other 3 are all genuine second-generation rich kids. Fortunately, they had strict family education, and their members were straightforward, kind, and did not look down on Chen Yang, who came from an ordinary family. On the contrary, I particularly admire Chen Yang, a self-disciplined, self-reliant, and exceptionally talented academic achiever. Therefore, they get along very well in private. Brother Chen, what's wrong with you? Zhu Kai has known Chen Yang for so long that he understands his personality quite well. He has never liked to trouble others and prefers to handle things on his own. Now Chen Yang has changed his ways. This made Zhu Kai immediately realize that he must have encountered some difficulties. It was only when something was extremely difficult for him that he asked his roommates for help. I guess so. I already called Dong Ji and Liang Ji on my way back. I'll talk to them when they arrive. Chen Yang nodded and admitted it directly. Although Zhu Kai was surprised, he did not rush to ask further questions. About 15 minutes later, Wu Dong and Hao Liang returned to their dormitory, one after the other. Seeing that everyone in the dormitory had arrived, a hint of curiosity appeared on his face. Yangzi, what's wrong with you? Just tell us. We've been classmates for 4 years and we've all gotten along well. If you're really in trouble, we'll definitely help you if we can. We won't stand idly by. Of the 4, Hao Liang is the oldest. He immediately broke the deadlock and asked Chen Yang. Chapter 6. Asking for a loan to invest in the stock market. Under the watchful eyes of the 3, Chen Yang took a deep breath before slowly speaking. Brother Liang, Brother Dong, Kai, I want to borrow some money from you. These words were spoken. Hao Liang, Wu Dong, and Zhu Kai all showed a hint of shock on their faces. In their minds, Chen Yang should not be short of money. First of all, Chen Yang was admitted to Shanghai University with high scores. The school offered him full tuition and fees waivers and a full scholarship every year. Secondly, Chen Yang often works part-time during his spare time. The total amount accumulated over 4 years of university must be quite considerable. Furthermore, Chen Yang was not in a relationship and usually lived frugally, with almost no major expenses. So if you calculate it this way, he might not have 100,000 or 200,000 yuan saved up, but he certainly has at least tens of thousands of yuan. Then they say they're short of money. It seems something must have happened to him, and he needs some money for an emergency. Yangzi, we've been classmates for years. I know exactly what kind of person you are. If you weren't in trouble, you probably wouldn't have asked me for help. I won't ask you anything more. Just tell me, how much money do you need? Hao Liang stared at Chen Yang with a serious expression and asked. He fully trusted Chen Yang's character. Now that Chen Yang has asked him for money, he is willing to help within his means. Chen Yang knew that Hao Liang and the other 2 were rich kids, but they might not have any cash on hand, so he didn't dare to ask for too much. After a moment's hesitation, he finally replied, 500,000. The reason for this number is that the three of them receive a six-figure allowance each month. In addition, they have some personal savings, so if they pool their money together, 500,000 shouldn't be a big problem. Although this amount of money is not much, it will become Chen Yang's starting capital for investing in the stock market. With the title of God of Investment, Chen Yang is absolutely confident that he will make a fortune in the stock market. It won't be long before we can pay them back with interest. Upon hearing this, Hao Liang immediately took out his phone from his pocket and checked his bank account balance. I currently have less than 300,000 yuan in my bank account. Most of that is left for this month. After deducting my daily expenses, I can only withdraw a maximum of 250,000 yuan. Dongzi and Kaizi, can you two scrape together the rest of the money? After speaking, Hao Liang looked at Wu Dong and Zhu Kai. Zhu Kai touched his nose and said embarrassedly, "Brother Liang, I can only come up with 100,000 right now." At this moment, Wu Dong took out a silver bank card from his wallet and handed it directly to Chen Yang, saying with a cheerful expression, "Yangzi, there is 1 million in this bank card. I'm not in a hurry to use it. If you encounter any difficulties, take this first. If it's not enough, tell me and I'll help you find a solution." Wu Dong truly lives up to his reputation as a rich second generation from Shanghai. Compared to Zhu Kai and Hao Liang, he's practically rolling in money. He can casually spend $1 million. Holy crap, Brother Dong, I never knew you were this rich. Zhu Kai's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. He was clearly stunned by Wu Dong's extravagant gesture. Dongzi, although I know you are a rich second generation from Shanghai with a huge fortune, I never imagined that your family would give you such a large sum of money. To be honest, I can't help but feel envious. Although Hao Liang didn't know much about Wu Dong's family background, he knew that the other party was not short of money. After all, he owned a BMW worth 560,000 yuan as his car while in college, and the clothes he wore, the mobile phone he used, and the electronic products he had were all from top brands. Taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars is nothing to them, but to take out 1 million at once, especially to lend it to Chen Yang, was something Hao Liang had never expected. What's there to envy? When we brothers get along, we never care about background or financial gain, right? Now that Yangzi is in trouble as a good friend, I should naturally do my best to help him. Moreover, I have high hopes for Yangzi. I've heard that several well-known financial investment companies have already extended offers to him. I believe that with his abilities, it won't be long before he stands out in the financial industry and even becomes a rising star in the financial circle. At that time, we might even need his help and support. Wu Dong was telling the truth. Of the 4 roommates, Chen Yang came from an ordinary background and had an average family, but he was the most outstanding in terms of academics and abilities. Given the opportunity and time, he could very well become a renowned figure in the financial industry. On the other hand, the 3 of them might have to follow their family's arrangements and go back to inherit the family business after graduation. Although their future achievements will far surpass Chen Yang's, there is simply no comparison between the two, based on family background and their own hard-earned businesses. That's why Wu Dong stepped in to help Chen Yang and wanted to build a good relationship with him. Brother Dong, Brother Liang, Kaizai, I, Chen Yang, will remember your kindness. When I become successful, I will never forget you. Chen Yang's face showed an unprecedented seriousness. Just because the 3 of them lent him such a large sum of money without asking why he had nothing, Chen Yang considered them true brothers. From this day forward, we will share both good times and bad. All right, stop being so sentimental. Take the money and get this done quickly. If you need any help, just let me know. Wu Dong waved his hand and couldn't help but laugh. Thanks, I'll treat you to dinner later. Chen Yang didn't stand on ceremony and simply put the bank card Wu Dong handed him into his pocket. Then he picked up his laptop and walked out of the dormitory. And not long after Chen Yang left, Hao Liang's gaze fell on Zhu Kai, and he couldn't help but ask, Kai, you've been staying in the dorm every day. Have you noticed anything strange about Yangzi these past few days? Zhu Kai frowned, trying to recall the events carefully. After a moment, he said awkwardly, If you ask me what's wrong, there really is something. Yangzi has been spacing out a lot lately, looking like he has something on his mind. When I ask him what's wrong, he just says nothing. And most unbelievably, Yikingya, the most beautiful girl in our school, actually came to our dormitory door today and specifically asked for Yangzi. They went out and talked for half an hour. Then Yangzi came back to the dormitory to pack his luggage, saying that he was going to move out and live with Yi Zai Ohua. It hadn't even been half a day before he came back and asked to borrow money. In my opinion, this matter is most likely related to Yi Zhaohua. Zhu Kai's words were like a thunderbolt, completely shocking Wu Dong and Hao Liang. What, such a thing actually happened? Why didn't you say so sooner? Wu Dong immediately adopted a gossipy expression and said excitedly, "You didn't ask. Besides, I didn't find a chance to bring it up." Zhu Kai spread his hands and smiled helplessly. In that case, something must have happened between Yangzi and Yi Zhaohua that we don't know about. Since he won't tell us anything, let's pretend we don't know anything. When the time is right, I believe that given Yoko's character, she won't hide it from us. Hao Liang pondered for a moment before slowly speaking. If Chen Yang knew the conversation among his roommates, he would definitely say they were modern-day Sherlock Holmes. Based on just a few clues, they were able to guess the truth of the matter with a high degree of accuracy. It's absolutely terrifying to think about. Chapter 7, Dingfeng Securities Company, opening an account. Chen Yang walked out of the school gate, but instead of heading to his rented room, he planned to open an investment account at a securities company. Even though we live in the internet age, you can still invest in the stock market by downloading a stock trading app. However, going to a securities company not only allows you to open an account, but also enables you to leverage financing to generate even greater profits. Although the risks are high, the returns can be very substantial. It's like Chen Yang investing 1 million in the stock market. After paying a margin deposit to the securities company, the remaining money can be used to leverage 10 times. In this way, a 1-point increase can be multiplied tenfold. Similarly, if the stock price drops by 1 point, he will suffer a tenfold loss. Generally speaking, few people would dare to take such a risk without sufficient certainty. However, Chen Yang obtained the title of God of Investment from the system, and he had absolute confidence in his ability to make himself invincible in the investment field. Therefore, his trip was both to test his investment skills and to accumulate initial capital as soon as possible to earn his first pot of gold. More than half an hour later, Chen Yang arrived at the Shanghai World Financial Center in Pudong District, Shanghai. This area is home to Shanghai's top financial and securities companies. After searching online, Chen Yang finally chose to open an account with a company called Dingfeng Securities. "Hello, sir, I am Wang Zhang, a manager at Dingfeng Securities. What kind of business do you need?" In the lobby, in front of the service window, when business manager Wang Zhang saw Chen Yang approaching, he immediately walked up to him with a warm smile and greeted him. "Manager Wang, I'd like to open an investment account." Chen Yang stated his purpose directly. "No problem. Did you bring your ID card?" Wang Zhang asked with a kind smile. "I brought it." Chen Yang nodded. "Sir, please hand your documents to the staff member. She will help you fill out the relevant information. After you confirm that there are no problems, please sign your name on it. It won't take long to process it for you." Out of professional habit, Wang Zhang said to Chen Yang. "Okay." Chen Yang readily agreed. After receiving the ID card, the staff began filling out the form. The process was not complicated and was completed in a few minutes. After Chen Yang signed it, the information was entered into the computer. The investment account was opened in less than 10 minutes. "Manager Wang, can I trade Hong Kong and US stocks with this account?" As a top student in finance, Chen Yang had solid professional knowledge and naturally knew that the domestic stock market adopted the T+1 system, meaning that stocks bought on the same day can only be traded on the next day. Hong Kong and US stocks, on the other hand, use a T+0 system, meaning stocks bought on the same day can be bought and sold on the same day. Advantages of T+0 trading model. High flexibility. Under the T+0 trading method, investors can buy and sell stocks at any time without waiting for the next trading day. Lower risk. Stocks bought on the same day can be sold on the same day, reducing the uncertainty risk of individual stocks and enabling better risk control. High capital utilization. The T+0 trading method greatly improves the utilization rate of capital, which may quickly double the capital. More confidence in trading. If you realize you've made a mistake, you can sell immediately, which gives you more confidence and helps with stock trading. Increased opportunities to make big money. The T+0 trading system allows for a large volume of transactions, including both long and short positions. For Chen Yang, the T+1 trading model would actually limit his ability to perform. Therefore, in order to fully utilize his investment capabilities, he wanted to invest all his funds in Hong Kong and US stocks. Of course, the domestic stock market also has investment value, but it is more inclined to long-term investment and requires a certain amount of capital to bring huge profits. Sir, our company's accounts are qualified to invest in Hong Kong stocks. The account you opened can trade Hong Kong stocks. However, if you want to invest in U.S. stocks, you will need to open a separate account, and the funds will be managed independently. If you need it, I can have my staff help you with it. Wang Zhang gave a clear answer to Chen Yang's question. Okay, then please open an account for me to invest in U.S. stocks as well, Chen Yang said without hesitation. Upon hearing this, Wang Zhang readily agreed. A dozen minutes later, all the formalities were completed, and Chen Yang had 2 independent investment accounts. Immediately afterwards, he used the bank card that Wu Dong had given him to deposit 1 million yuan into it. In addition to Zhu Kai's 100,000 yuan, Hao Liang's 250,000 yuan, and his own personal savings of 30,000 yuan. The total is 1.38 million. Wang Zhang was quite surprised to see this. After all, judging from Chen Yang's attire, he didn't seem like someone who could easily take out millions of yuan to invest. However, he quickly came to his senses. Sir, since your investment has exceeded 1 million, you can enjoy VIP treatment at our company. That is, private financial managers, professional traders, and independent trading rooms. Wang Zhang looked at Chen Yang with respect and said, "All right, let's go to the trading room then." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang promptly made the suggestion. After all, it's 2 p.m. now, and there's still some time before the stock market closes. Chen Yang wanted to take this opportunity to see just how powerful the title of God of Investment really was. Wang Zhang nodded and led Chen Yang to the VIP trading room. The first thing you see is a huge screen hanging on the wall, clearly displaying stock prices and dynamic charts. Next to it were several computers and professional traders. VIPs can conduct stock market transactions immediately upon request. Manager Wang. When the trader saw Wang Zhang leading the guests in, he quickly greeted him. Wang Zhang nodded and then immediately introduced to Chen Yang. "Mr. Chen, this is Su Zheng, a trader from our company. If you want to invest in the stock market, you can have him handle your trading." Securities firms typically assign excellent traders to their clients, providing them with greater convenience. After all, clients who open an account with a securities firm incur commissions and various fees every time they trade in the stock market. And this is how securities companies make profits. In order to better attract and retain customers, the company will inevitably try its best to provide better services. The reason for doing this is to make customers feel that they are getting more than their money's worth. Are Hong Kong stocks available for trading now? Chen Yang looked at Su Zheng and asked directly. Sure, as long as Mr. Chen's funds are in place, the transaction can proceed according to your wishes right now. Su Zheng nodded and replied respectfully. Manager Wang, given my current financial situation, what leverage ratio can your company offer me at most? Chen Yang didn't rush into the transaction. Instead, he turned to look at Wang Zhang and asked with some curiosity. Mr. Chen, it's like this. After the investment account is opened, you must trade for 20 business days, have a capital of more than 500,000, and have 6 months of trading experience before our company can provide leverage, with the highest multiplier being 110 times. Of course, our company will authorize based on your account's investment and trading activities and capital allocation. There is no fixed rule. Given your current situation, our company is temporarily unable to offer you leverage. We hope you can understand. Wang Zhang explained in detail to Chen Yang from a professional perspective. Chen Yang thought it was a pity, but he was not discouraged. After all, he has a total of 1.38 million yuan in funds at his disposal. It's more than enough to make a profit from stock market investments. Chapter 8, The God of Investment. The title displays its power. At this point, there was still 1.5 hours left before the Hong Kong stock market closed. Chen Yang checked the Hong Kong stock market and found that several stocks had experienced huge gains today, with prices rising by nearly 40% and trading volume reaching several billion. From a professional perspective, he quickly determined that there was clearly a market manipulator accumulating shares in the stock market, intending to forcefully drive up the stock price. Entering the market at this time would likely result in being trapped by the market makers at a high price. But Chen Yang is a man with cheat codes. For him, none of this was a problem. Host detected investing in stocks. God of Investment activated materializing. Greenwood Properties, currently priced at 6.2 yuan, we'll see a major player aggressively buying up shares in 15 minutes, forcibly pushing the price up to 18.4 yuan. Retail investors will see this positive news and start buying. At that time, the major player will secretly shake out weak hands, causing the price to fall back to around 9.5 yuan. Before the stock market closes, it will surge again, reaching 20.8 yuan. The next moment, the system's voice rang in Chen Yang's mind. Not only that, a virtual light screen appeared out of thin air in front of him. Sure enough, this is the stock price chart of Greenwood Properties from its initial public offering until the stock market closes. Furthermore, the best time to buy and the best time to sell are clearly marked on it. If used properly, it is entirely possible to maximize benefits. Holy crap, this god of investment is amazing. He even created a chart showing the dynamic rise and fall of stock prices. With this, I will be invincible in stock market investments. Even becoming a perpetual winner will not be difficult. Upon realizing this, Chen Yang was so excited that he couldn't calm down for a long time. Without the slightest hesitation, Chen Yang immediately said to Su Zhang, "Please help me buy Greenwood Real Estate with all my funds." These words were spoken. Both Su Zhang and Wang Zhang had expressions of shock on their faces. As financial transaction professionals, they have seen many clients who are not short of funds. These customers can be divided into insiders and outsiders. Laypeople have only a superficial understanding of stock market investment. So when investing, most of them will ask professionals to recommend a few good stocks, not necessarily to make a fortune, but at least to ensure that they don't lose all their principal. Insiders, on the other hand, have extensive investment experience and make their own investments based on their analysis and judgment of the stock market. Even so, they all adhere to the idea of not putting all their eggs in one basket and will allocate their funds reasonably, investing in different stocks. This way, the risk is shared, and it also ensures that you won't lose everything when the stock price fluctuates significantly. People like Chen Yang, who invest all their funds in the same stock as soon as they open an account, are definitely a minority, or they listen to so-called insider information and get exploited. Either they are too confident in their own judgment and end up losing miserably. Chen Yang is not old and looks like a complete novice. However, when Wang Zhang talked with him, he found that the other party had profound thoughts and was not the kind of ignorant, naive young man. That is precisely why, when Chen Yang made this investment decision, it was hard for the two of them to believe. "Mr. Chen, would you like to reconsider? Greenwood Properties' stock price hasn't fluctuated much recently, so it really doesn't offer any investment value. Buying it with your entire portfolio would be far too risky. How about I recommend a few quality stocks for you?" How? Wang Zhang meant well, which is why he spoke up to dissuade Chen Yang. After all, Chen Yang can easily take out millions of yuan to invest in the stock market. For this reason alone, Wang Zhang was willing to do him a favor. "Manager Wang, I appreciate your kindness. However, I have my reasons for doing this. You just need to have the traders follow my instructions, and I will take full responsibility for all profits and losses, and will not cause any trouble for your company." Chen Yang shook his head. He decisively rejected Wang Zhang's proposal. Just kidding, with the title of God of Investment helping him. It's like he's using a cheat code when investing in the stock market. There's absolutely no way we can lose. Under such circumstances, how could he possibly listen to Wang Zhang's advice? "Manager Wang." Su Zhang looked at Wang Zhang. After all, Wang Zhang was his superior, and he would never dare to act rashly without the other party's approval. "Mr. Chen, since you insist on this, then I will not say anything more. Su Zhang, from now on, you must strictly follow Mr. Chen's instructions, and absolutely no mistakes are allowed, understand?" Wang Zhang saw that Chen Yang was determined to go his own way. In the end, they had no choice but to agree. At the same time, orders were also given to Su Zhang. Clear? Su Zhang understood the meaning behind Wang Zhang's words. This means that if any investment goes wrong, Chen Yang will have to bear the loss himself, and Dingfeng Financial Securities Company will have no responsibility whatsoever. Chen Yang's lips curled up slightly. He knew that his first pot of gold would be earned through this investment. I felt both nervous and excited. At the same time, Su Zhang logged into Chen Yang's investment account. He then used all 1.38 million yuan in his account to buy Greenwood Real Estate. Fortunately, Greenwood Properties stock had been lukewarm, so it didn't take long for everything to proceed smoothly. The funds in the account were cleared out and converted into shares in Greenwood Properties. However, The stock price of Greenwood Properties changed immediately after Su Zheng made the purchase. It jumped from the initial 6.2 yuan to 6.5 yuan, a direct increase of 0.3 yuan. Although the magnitude was small, it still surprised both Wang Zhang and Su Zheng. You need to know, Chen Yang bought in at the highest point, and there is a risk of a sharp drop at any time. It went up. The stock price started rising right after I successfully bought it. Is it a coincidence, or did Mr. Chen foresee this? Looking at the scene before me, several ideas suddenly came to mind for Wang Zhang. 3 or 4 more minutes passed. Greenwood Properties' stock price surged again. This time, the stock price surged from 7.5 yuan to 12.6 yuan, nearly doubling. Then, retail investors in the market are like sharks that have smelled blood, swarming in with huge amounts of money. A large influx of funds into Greenwood Properties caused its stock price to rise accordingly. In just over half an hour, the stock price soared from 12.5 yuan to 17.5 yuan, with a faint trend of breaking through 18 yuan. The funds in Chen Yang's account nearly tripled. This moment, both Wang Zhang and Su Zheng were completely unsettled. In the Hong Kong stock market, so many stocks are traded every day. Some rise by 20 or 30 points, while others plummet to the point of despair. Greenwood Real Estate, on the other hand, has remained lukewarm in its business. Anyone with a basic understanding of investing would not choose to buy it, believing that it has no investment value. But to everyone's surprise, it became a dark horse, bringing unexpected joy. Most importantly, it was Chen Yang who happened to choose it and bought it with all his funds. This allowed him to make a fortune. The way Wang Zhang and Su Zheng looked at Chen Yang now no longer held the same contempt in their eyes. More than anything, there was envy and surprise. Chen Yang bought all his shares in Greenwood Real Estate with an expression of absolute certainty, showing no fear of incurring losses. It's as if they knew all along that Greenwood Properties' stock price would surge. Thus, Chen Yang either received inside information in advance, or he is an investment expert who, through his own analysis and judgment, guessed that Greenwood Real Estate would inevitably experience a surge in value, and therefore made arrangements in advance to reap the benefits. However, in either case, it proves that Chen Yang is not a simple person. Chapter 9, the principal tripled, but he was just an ordinary college student. Chen Yang's expression remained calm at this moment, but his heart was far from at peace, even though he already knew that buying Greenwood's realty stock would bring him a substantial return. But when all of this happened, he still felt a little unreal. The poor suddenly become rich. This is the truest reflection of Chen Yang's inner self. It's true, it's all true. The title of God of Investment is truly well-deserved. Chen Yang was secretly excited. He tried his best to calm himself down so that outsiders would notice anything amiss. In less than an hour, the funds in Chen Yang's account increased from 1.38 million to 4.25 million, more than tripling. Financial investment truly lives up to its reputation as a highly profitable industry. Moreover, the speed at which money is made is unimaginably fast. As the stock price continues to surge, it's about to reach the peak value given by the system. After that, the stock price will begin to fall, followed by a continuous sharp decline. In order to maximize his own interests, Chen Yang told trader Su Zhengdao, "At the current stock price, I'll sell all my holdings." Upon hearing this, Su Zheng was taken aback. He didn't quite understand Chen Yang's idea. So mustering his courage, he whispered, "Mr. Chen, Greenwood Real Estate's stock is currently soaring, with retail investors rushing to buy in. This influx of capital suggests there might be another significant upward trend. Isn't it a bit of a shame to sell now? Financial markets are constantly changing. Often, most people aren't unable to make money. They're just too greedy. Even though you've already made a 10% profit, you could choose to take it and secure your gains. But seeing the stock's impressive upward trend, you're tempted to earn even more. The choice is either to continue holding or to add to your position. In the end, they often get trapped and lose everything. Be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Most people are blinded by immediate gains and lose their rationality, even if your subconscious tells you to know when to stop. But in the end, they couldn't control themselves. Su Zheng undoubtedly made this common mistake. Chen Yang, however, had a cheat code and was already fully aware of stock price fluctuations, so naturally he wouldn't listen to the other party's advice. He shook his head and said with a firm expression, "No need to consider it. I'll have to trouble you to sell all the stocks in my account and convert them into cash." Seeing this, Su Zheng could only nod in agreement. He was just a trader, not the account holder, so the investment profits and losses had little to do with him. Now that Chen Yang has made his decision, all he has to do is execute it unconditionally. After a series of operations, it was just as Su Zheng successfully sold all his stocks and secured his profits. Not long after that, the stock price began to fall and continued to decline without showing any sign of stopping. Looking at this scene, Su Zheng was completely stunned. He had just said that Greenwood Properties stock would see a surge, only to be proven wrong shortly afterward. If Chen Yang hadn't insisted on throwing it away, it would have caused incalculable losses. Thinking of this, Su Zheng felt extremely fortunate. At the same time, they became somewhat curious about Chen Yang's identity. Just who is this guy? How did they know the stock price would plummet? They even managed to cash out and exit at the peak of the stock price without the slightest hesitation. Is he a true big shot, or is there more to the story? Not only Su Zheng, but also manager Wang Zhang had the same question in his mind. Mr. Chen, if I may ask, what do you do? Have you worked in financial trading before? Wang Zhang pondered for a moment before curiously asking Chen Yang. I'm just an ordinary college student. However, it just so happens that I studied financial investment. That's why I thought of trying my hand in the financial market. Chen Yang noticed that Wang Zhang had become curious about his identity and was taking the initiative to inquire about it. This tells you that your investment capabilities have been recognized by the other party. Although he has not yet entered society, he already knows the wickedness of people's hearts. It's impossible for someone to reveal their biggest secret completely. So he smiled slightly and replied casually, "An ordinary college student." Upon hearing this, Wang Zhang's lips twitched involuntarily. Which university student could triple their investment in just 1 hour? That's impressive. Even among the top financial investment companies in the industry, they are extremely rare. But those people are all well-known figures in their respective industries. Compared to them, Chen Yang is incredibly young. His future is truly limitless. May I ask which university Mr. Chen attends? Wang Zhang was very curious and couldn't help but ask. Shanghai University, Chen Yang said with a smile. It turns out that Mr. Chen is also a top student. Therefore, it is not surprising that he has such ability. The Department of Finance at Shanghai University is among the top-ranked universities in the country. Many senior executives or traders in financial investment companies in Shanghai are graduates of Shanghai University. It's fair to say that most students who graduate from Shanghai University, a top-tier institution, are doing quite well. Some of their outstanding students will even achieve great things in the future. Such a prodigy possesses abilities that are simply beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. During the conversation, Chen Yang kept his eyes glued to the stock market. Seeing this, Wang Zhang dared not make a sound to disturb them. About half an hour, Greenwood Properties' stock price plummeted to around 9 yuan per share. It looks like the time to buy at the bottom has arrived. Chen Yang then said to Su Zheng, "Use all the funds in my account to buy Greenwood Real Estate." These words were spoken. Both Su Zheng and Wang Zhang stared at Chen Yang in astonishment. They assumed that Chen Yang was selling off his shares to secure his profits and would stop trading. Who would have thought? Chen Yang was actually thinking of buying up Greenwood Real Estate at this time. Moreover, they went all in. This move can be described as extremely bold. But, having learned from previous examples, Su Zheng was shocked, but his hands moved quickly. The next second, the mouse and keyboard were being frantically tapped in his hands. Su Zheng completed the initial investment as quickly as possible, and then aggressively bought up Greenwood Real Estate shares on the market. The sharp drop in Greenwood Properties' stock price caused market panic. Therefore, many retail investors are frantically selling off their shares. Chen Yang's 4 million yuan was quickly depleted and converted into stock shares. 1 minute, 2 minutes, the stock price began to stabilize and gradually showed an upward trend. Just then, a huge influx of funds entered the market and went on a buying spree. Within just a few minutes, the stock price was quickly driven up. Everyone then realized that the previous stock price crash was entirely due to the market manipulators dumping shares to force out those with weak resolve, so they could enjoy the spoils of victory for themselves. Some investors who were in a hurry to sell their shares were unable to hold on until the last minute. The bookmakers' combination of tactics caused them to lose everything. Certainly, there are also some savvy investors. For example, Chen Yang. Amidst such turmoil, they made a fortune. Chapter 10, Sevenfold Profit. Total capital, 9.52 million. Stock investment, simply put, is about buying low and selling high to make a profit from the difference. The difficulty lies in finding the right time to invest. Laypeople, seeing the promising upward trend in stocks, can't resist buying them. As soon as I bought it, the stock price started to plummet. When the price drops, I get anxious and can't stay calm, so I hurriedly sell the stocks. I sold it, and within a few days, the stock price started to rise again. The cycle repeats itself. People without investment acumen and skills simply cannot make money in the stock market. They will only become easy prey, getting fleeced time and time again. Even financial professionals possess solid professional knowledge and keen analytical skills. A slight misstep could lead to a complete disaster, ultimately resulting in total financial ruin. The financial market is constantly changing, and the speed at which money can be made or lost is unimaginable. It is precisely because the risks and rewards are proportional that people are so enthusiastic about it. However, these barriers completely disappeared after Chen Yang earned the title of God of Investment. He's like someone with a cheat code in a video game, possessing the ability to perceive the future. From God's perspective, he could easily maximize his benefits and minimize his harms. Chen Yang sold his shares when the price of Greenwood Real Estate was near its highest point, and then bought them back when the price fell to its lowest point. This is equivalent to him making a profit twice in a row on a single stock, thus maximizing his profits. However, his actions greatly shocked Wang Zhang, the manager of Dingfeng Securities, and Su Zheng, a trader. If Chen Yang's previous actions could be attributed to luck, however, his decision to buy at the bottom undoubtedly revealed Chen Yang's true abilities. If Chen Yang did not possess keen judgment and exceptional analytical skills, he would never have been able to commit such a bold act. After all, he had already made a profit from his previous investments, with a principal of over 4 million. If he wasn't absolutely certain, how could he have bought all of Greenwood Properties stock? Then every few minutes, Greenwood Properties stock price would surge. This continued for nearly half an hour. The stocks held in Chen Yang's account are worth 9.5 million. Compared to before, it has more than doubled. Seeing that the profits were nearing their maximum, Chen Yang had no regrets. He immediately said to Su Zheng, "The current returns have met my expectations. Please sell all the stocks at the current market price." "Yes, Mr. Chen." This time, Su Zheng dared not question it. He was completely convinced by the strength Chen Yang had displayed. Therefore, he immediately followed Chen Yang's instructions. Finally, just before the stock market closed, Chen Yang successfully sold all the stocks in his account, leaving him with 9.52 million yuan in cash. It took less than 2 hours in total. Chen Yang's funds have increased from 1.38 million to 9.52 million, nearly 7 times, and he is just a little short of breaking 10 million. Chen Yang was very satisfied with this. Wang Zhang and Su Zheng's faces were filled with envy and admiration. This is the allure of financial investment. It can transport you to a dreamlike paradise or plunge you into hell. Everything depends on one's ability. Having achieved his goal, Chen Yang decided not to linger and prepared to leave Dingfeng Securities. However, just as he was about to leave the trading room, manager Wang Zhang quickly stepped in front of him, took out a business card from his pocket, and respectfully handed it over with both hands. "Mr. Chen, congratulations on your successful start and the great profits you have made in the stock market. This is my business card. If you have any further investment intentions in the future, please feel free to contact me. I will do my best to provide you with all kinds of assistance. Financial investment involves transactions, which generally incur related fees and commissions. According to industry practice, it is usually around 0.3%. In other words, if Chen Yang conducts a transaction worth 10 million through Dingfeng Securities, he will have to pay a commission of 30,000 yuan. Although the fee is not high, if the amount involved is as high as hundreds of millions and the frequency is multiple times, over time, this adds up to a considerable sum. In Wang Zhang's view, Chen Yang is an absolute master of financial investment. Given their capabilities, and having tasted the benefits of the financial and stock markets, it's unlikely they would only invest once. If we can maintain a long-term partnership, given Chen Yang's earning speed, he will likely become a major client of the company in no time. What Wang Zhang needs to do right now is to build a good relationship with Chen Yang. Only in this way can we achieve mutual benefit. Okay, no problem. Chen Yang took the business card and smiled at Wang Zhang. Not long after Chen Yang left Dingfeng Securities. Wang Zhang immediately contacted the secretary of the general manager of Dingfeng Securities, saying he had important matters to report to General Manager Liu. Unfortunately, Mr. Liu was in a video conference at the time. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the secretary led Wang Zhang into the office. "Manager Wang, my secretary said you have something important to report to me. Liu Jindong is 42 years old this year. He graduated from Shanghai University of Finance and Economics with a doctoral degree. He has worked for several financial companies, has an excellent resume, and is rich in work experience. Both his personal talent and management skills are outstanding. Therefore, he was hired by the owner of Dingfeng Securities Company at a high salary to serve as the company's general manager. Under his leadership, Dingfeng Securities also achieved record-breaking performance. Therefore, he is highly respected within the company." Wang Zhang, too, was captivated by Liu Jindong's personal charm. "Mr. Liu, I just met a client. His surname is Chen. He is in his early 20s and is still a student at Shanghai University. He opened an account at our Dingfeng Securities and used 1.38 million yuan of principal to speculate on Hong Kong stocks. In less than 2 hours, the value increased nearly sevenfold, eventually reaching 9.52 million yuan. Initially, he entered the market at a high price, and after he bought in, the stock price skyrocketed like a rocket. However, just when things were looking great, he did the opposite and decisively sold all the stocks in his account, successfully cashing out and leaving the market. With just this one operation, he made nearly 3 times his profit. Then, when the stock price hit rock bottom, he decisively bought in with all his funds. Immediately afterwards, he cashed out at the high point. This time, he made nearly double his profit. He almost always makes a move at a crucial point. It's clear that he is a rare investment genius." Wang Zhang dared not conceal the truth. He immediately reported the whole story to Liu Jindong. The reason Wang Zhang did this was entirely because he had a progressive mindset, to discover an investment genius for the company and recruit him to bring benefits to the company. This achievement is more than enough to allow Wang Zhang to advance further. What such a thing exists? Upon hearing Wang Zhang's report, Liu Jindong was immediately shocked. 7 times the profit. Even if he were to personally manage the operation, it would be very difficult to achieve. Not to mention, the other party was just a college student. "Mr. Liu, may I borrow your computer? Mr. Chen is trading with an account registered with our company, so we have full access to view his trading records and transaction details." Wang Zhengsheng was afraid that Liu Jindong wouldn't believe him. Therefore, he wanted to retrieve Chen Yang's operation records to show Liu Jindong. This is more convincing than any explanation. These words were spoken. Liu Jindong's eyes lit up, clearly intrigued. So he nodded and said, "Okay, then let me see if that person really has such abilities." Chapter 11. Investment strength draws attention, Campus Bell's best friend Su Menjiao. After seeing that Liu Jindong agreed, Wang Zhang immediately started working on the computer. In no time, Chen Yang's account operation records and transaction details were displayed on the computer screen. "Mr. Liu, please take a look." Wang Zhang took a step back, making room for Liu Jindong. Seeing that Wang Zhang had a perfect sense of proportion, Liu Jindong nodded inwardly. However, he didn't show it on his face at all. Liu Jindong's attention was quickly drawn to Chen Yang's operation log. The more he looked, the more shocked he became. It was simply because Chen Yang timed his buying and selling perfectly. That is why Chen Yang's actions were textbook perfect, maximizing his profits. Only at this moment did Liu Jindong understand why Wang Zhang had specifically reported this matter to him. An investment genius, and such a young genius at that. If they can establish a good relationship with them, it will be entirely beneficial to Dingfeng Securities. If the other party can maintain such a high level of investment efficiency, then Dingfeng Securities may well cooperate with them. At that time, Dingfeng Securities will provide the funds, while the other party will be responsible for the operation. The profits earned can be divided proportionally, which can completely achieve a win-win situation. The thought filled Liu Jindong with immense excitement. A genius, this person must be an investment genius, 1 in a million. "Manager Wang, I have a task for you. If Mr. Chen ever trades with Dingfeng Securities again in the future, you must inform me immediately." Liu Jindong glanced at Wang Zhang and said in a firm and powerful tone, "Don't worry, Mr. Liu, I'll take care of this." Seeing Liu Jindong's strong reaction after reviewing Chen Yang's trading records and transaction details, he even gave himself a special reminder, and Wang Zhang knew he had made the right bet this time. Not only did he successfully gain recognition from the leadership, but he also discovered a true investment genius for the company. If this continues, Chen Yang will indeed bring huge benefits to the company. Wang Zhang deserves the greatest credit. Promotions, raises, and gaining the favor of superiors are all within reach. Chen Yang probably never expected that his first foray into stock market investment would attract the attention of the general manager of Dingfeng Securities. After leaving Dingfeng Securities, Chen Yang hailed a taxi and headed towards Yulong Garden residential area. At the same time, inside the apartment rented by Yi Qingye in the Yulong Garden residential complex. Because of her pregnancy, Yi Qingye has been feeling sleepy lately. I slept straight through until the afternoon. Yi Qingye walked out of the room and found that Chen Yang was not there. She felt a sense of relief. After all, she and Chen Yang had only met a few times and were hardly familiar with each other. If it weren't for an unplanned pregnancy, she would never have dreamed that she would be living with a man who was almost a complete stranger. Looking back now, Yi Qingye couldn't help but admire herself for having the courage to make the decision to live with Chen Yang. Fortunately, she had found out about Chen Yang beforehand and knew that he was cheerful, kind, and not a bad person. Otherwise, Yi Qingye would never dare to live with Chen Yang. Yi Qingye took a bottle of mineral water and sat down on the sofa in the living room to drink it. I was just about to call Chen Yang to ask where he was and when he planned to come back. Just then, Yi Qingye's phone rang. Upon checking the caller ID, it turned out to be her best friend, Su Menjiao, calling. Qingye, I heard that you moved out of the dormitory and are living elsewhere. What exactly happened? Did someone in the dorm bully you? Su Menjiao learned that her best friend Yi Qingye had quietly moved out of the school dormitory and rented a place outside. And she, as Yi Qingye's best friend, was completely kept in the dark. This made Su Menjiao very angry. So he immediately called Yi Qingye to find out what was going on. Yiao, you found out about this. I knew I couldn't hide it from you. It's hard to explain over the phone in a short time. I'll give you an address, come over and we'll talk in person. Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao are best friends. Although they are not related by blood, they are closer than sisters. The two were classmates and desk mates in junior high and high school. Yi Qingye had excellent grades, and with her parents' job changes, she went to study at Shanghai University. Su Menjiao's grades were slightly lower, and she preferred dancing, aspiring to become a big star in the entertainment industry. Therefore, she was admitted to an art college in Shanghai. Although the two did not attend the same university, fortunately, they were not too far apart. So whenever Su Menjiao had free time, she would come to visit Yi Qingye. Over time, Su Menjiao naturally became familiar with Yi Qingye's roommates and even exchanged their contact information. Therefore, Su Menjiao could not hide the fact that Yi Qingye had moved out of the school. It was only a matter of time before it was discovered. Okay, wait for me, I'll be right there. Su Menjiao couldn't wait to find out what had happened to Yi Qingye. Hang up the phone. After receiving the address from Yi Qingye, he immediately took a taxi there. A dozen minutes later, ding dong, the doorbell rang. Yi Qingye saw through the peephole that Su Menjiao was standing outside the door. She opened the door herself and looked at Su Menjiao with a smile. Yiao, you're here, come in quickly. After saying that, he then took Su Menjiao's arm and led her into the house. Qingye, tell me honestly, what's really going on with you? Why would you move out of town for no reason? Could it be that you're secretly dating someone behind my back? And you're doing this because you want to spend some time alone with your boyfriend. Su Menjiao was completely baffled. She simply couldn't understand why Yi Qingye would do such a thing. It should be noted that Yi Qingye is already a senior, and she has almost completed all her major and elective courses. In the second half of the year, all she needs to do is get an internship certificate and work on her thesis before she can get her graduation certificate. Given Yi Qingye's family background, she was destined to live a life of luxury without having to work hard. Therefore, she may not stay in Shanghai to develop her career in the future. Su Menjiao was well aware of all this. After thinking it over and over, Su Menjiao couldn't find a suitable reason for Yi Qingye to do such a thing. The only possibility, Yi Qingye found a boyfriend. To avoid causing a sensation, he thought of finding a place to be his private base. Su Menjiao was just saying it casually. Unexpectedly, Yi Qingye had no intention of hiding anything from her. He actually nodded in agreement and replied with a smile. Yiao, you're so smart, you guessed it right away. Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao's smile froze instantly, and she was completely stunned. Qingye, stop joking. This joke isn't funny at all. What kind of personality you have? Others may not know, but don't you think I, your best friend, know it all? Over the years, you have had countless suitors and admirers. There are top students who always rank first in their grade, handsome and unruly school heartthrobs, and wealthy and eloquent young masters. You have all kinds of men to choose from, but you've never been tempted and you've never even glanced at them. With your high standards, what kind of man could make you fall in love at first sight? Anyway, I'd rather die than believe it. A moment later, Su Menjiao recovered from her shock. Her first reaction was disbelief. They simply couldn't believe that Yi Qingye, who was supposed to be celibate and aloof, would actually fall in love with a man. She even moved out of school and rented a place outside for him to enjoy their time together. The words had barely left his mouth. Click! The door was suddenly pushed open. A handsome young man, over 1.8 meters tall, with long legs, a fair complexion and outstanding looks, appeared at the door. Chapter 12, Su Menjiao. Oh no, the culprit is actually myself. I heard a noise behind me. Su Menjiao subconsciously turned around and saw a handsome young man whose looks were exactly what she considered attractive, standing at the door with a slightly embarrassed expression. Who are you? Trespassing is illegal. Get out of here now, or I'll call the police. Su Menjiao was not blinded by the handsome appearance of the man in front of her. Instead, he immediately shielded Yi Qingye behind him, looked at him warily, and warned her. Yiao, you've misunderstood. He's not a bad person. Seeing Su Menjiao's overreaction, Yi Qingye quickly explained. Qingye, you know each other. Su Menjiao was stunned for a moment, then subconsciously asked. Yi Qingye nodded, just as she was hesitating about how to introduce Chen Yang's identity. Su Menjiao, however, could no longer contain herself. Her sharp gaze swept over Chen Yang, her tone carrying a hint of accusation. What's your name? What do you do for a living? And what's your relationship with my Qingye? Chen Yang had met Su Menjiao at a bar before and knew that she was Yi Qingye's best friend. I never expected her to appear here. Moreover, based on Su Menjiao's reaction, Chen Yang immediately realized that Yi Qingye did not seem to have told her about her pregnancy or that they were living together. My name is Chen Yang, a senior student majoring in finance at Shanghai University, class of 2020. As for my relationship with Qingye, I'm not at liberty to answer that right now. Chen Yang hesitated for a few seconds, then met Su Menjiao's gaze directly and spoke in a neither humble nor arrogant manner. Shanghai University, a senior majoring in finance. Wouldn't that mean he'd be attending the same university as Qingye? Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao's expression froze for a moment. Filled with doubt and confusion, Su Menjiao quickly turned her gaze to her best friend Yi Qingye. This moment, Su Menjiao finally realized it. It's possible that what Yi Qingye said just now was true, but I didn't take it to heart at all. Qingye, tell me honestly, what is your relationship with him? Is there something else you're hiding from me? Seeing that the truth could not be hidden any longer, Yi Qingye couldn't help but show a hint of apology on her face. Then he grabbed Su Menjiao's arm and headed towards his bedroom. He also closed the door behind him. Inside the room, Su Menjiao crossed her arms and looked at Yi Qingye with a serious expression, waiting for her to explain. After organizing her thoughts, Yi Qingye slowly said, Yiao, I'm pregnant. The father of the child is Chen Yang. These words struck Su Menjiao like a thunderbolt, leaving her scalp tingling and completely stunned. It took Su Menjiao more than 10 seconds to gradually come to her senses. How is this possible? Qingye, have you really fallen for that pretty boy outside? And you actually had a relationship with him before marriage. She even got pregnant before marriage. Qingye, you're so foolish. Do you know how much trouble this will cause if your family finds out? Su Menjiao's face suddenly showed a look of disappointment and frustration. In her heart, Yi Qingye was definitely not the kind of woman who would disregard everything for love. There must be some hidden story behind this. Yi Qingye gently comforted Su Menjiao. Yao, don't panic, let me explain. Do you remember the day 2 months ago when you were heartbroken and asked me to go to a bar for drinks? Su Menjiao was slightly taken aback and couldn't help but recall what happened that day. I remember I was drunk that day and you took me to a budget hotel near the bar. After that, I slept soundly until dawn. Could this matter be related to you and Chen Yang? Yi Qingye bit her lip tightly, then nodded vigorously. That night, someone secretly drugged my drink. Chen Yang happened to be working part-time at that bar, and he recognized me at a glance, which is why he stepped in to save me from those malicious thugs. Before I lost consciousness, I specifically asked him to take us both back to school. But it was already late, and the school dormitories were all closed. I had no choice but to ask him to book 2 rooms at a nearby hotel. Chen Yang was about to leave, but the effects of the drug in my body just happened to kick in. I couldn't control myself and attacked Chen Yang, which ultimately led to things getting out of control. In a sense, both Chen Yang and I are victims. I never expected that after having sex with Chen Yang only once, I would actually get pregnant. That's why I confronted Chen Yang, and I plan to live with him for a while to thoroughly evaluate him. If he can pass my test and make me fall in love with him, then I will choose to get a marriage certificate with him and have the child. But if he doesn't meet my demands, I will abort the child and disappear from his life completely. Let what happened between us be just a dream. Doing this is the best way for both me and him. After hearing Yiqingya's words, Su Menjiao felt extremely guilty. She never expected that, just because she was heartbroken, she would insist on dragging Yiqingya to a bar for drinks. As a result, Yiqingya lost her innocence. If the Yi family finds out about this, I will definitely be held accountable. Just thinking about it made Su Menjiao feel a chill of fear. Qingya, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. You say I'm heartbroken, so why did I have to drag you to a bar to drink with me? Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten into this mess. If your family finds out, they definitely won't let me off the hook. Qingya, tell me, what should I do? Su Menjiao was so frightened that her face turned pale, and her body trembled uncontrollably. She had been sisters with Yiqingya for many years, and knew a little about Yiqingya's family background. My great-grandfather was a veteran of the Red Army. He participated in the War of Resistance against Japan, crossed the grasslands and the Yalu River, and received numerous medals and honors. My great-grandmother was a doctor at the military hospital. She was a miracle worker who saved lives. My grandfather fought in the Vietnam War and the Battle of Laotian, and later became the governor of Beijing. My grandmother came from a wealthy family. Her family had been in business for generations. My father was a high-ranking official in Kyoto. 2 years ago, due to a job transfer, he was sent to Shanghai to serve as the municipal party secretary. My mother works in the banking system and holds a high position. I heard she has been promoted to vice president. My relatives either hold important positions within the government or have achieved great success in the business world. The Yi family in Kyoto is undoubtedly a powerful and influential family. Compared to Yiqingya, Su Menjiao's family background is far inferior. If the Yi family is enraged, they will shift their anger from Su Menjiao to the Su family. For the Su family, that was tantamount to annihilation. No wonder Su Menjiao was so terrified. Anyone would be unable to remain indifferent upon realizing they have committed a grave offense. Chapter 13, Keep It a Secret. My culinary skills and knife work have improved once again. Seeing Su Menjiao so frightened and panicked, Yiqingya felt a pang of sympathy. After all, the consequences of this incident were far beyond what she could bear. If the Yi family really wants to get to the bottom of this, I'm afraid the matter will not be easily resolved. This could bring huge trouble to Su Menjiao and her family. Yao, don't be afraid. With me here, this matter will not involve you or the Su family. Besides, only you and Chen Yang know about this right now. As long as we keep it a secret, my family won't know. Moreover, if Chen Yang fails my test, I will abort the child. Then, after a period of recuperation, my body will be back to normal, and no one will know that I was once unexpectedly pregnant. Yiqingya remained relatively calm. After all, she had carefully considered the matter and concluded that this method would minimize the impact. Upon hearing Yiqingya's words, Su Menjiao breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately, he said helplessly, "At this point, there's no other way. However, I have to admit that Chen Yang is quite handsome. He's 1.88 meters tall, with long legs and upright posture, handsome features, and exudes the masculine energy of a man. Having sex with him is 100 times better than having sex with any other stinky man. Putting everything else aside, the children born to him would probably be much more attractive than ordinary babies." Upon hearing this, Yiqingya's pretty face showed a rare blush. She seemed to be feeling somewhat shy. After all, she had never had a boyfriend before, let alone had close contact with men. And Chen Yang entered her life so unexpectedly. And for the next 3 months, he will live with her. Just thinking about it made Yiqingya feel uneasy and nervous. Moreover, she herself strongly agrees with what Su Menjiao said. In terms of appearance, Chen Yang is indeed outstanding. At least, he already fully meets Yiqingya's standards for a partner. Yaya, when you go out later, be nice to Chen Yang. I had someone investigate his background. Although he comes from an ordinary family, his academic performance is outstanding. He has received full scholarships from the school for many consecutive years. He is also cheerful, kind, and often works part-time outside of class. He is an ambitious and capable potential talent. I don't want to put too much pressure on him because of my situation. To be honest, although Yi Qingye didn't know much about Chen Yang, after spending the whole day with him, she felt that he was very reliable. Therefore, she did not want her best friend Su Menjiao to treat Chen Yang with the same attitude she had just shown. That would cause Chen Yang to feel disgusted. One of them is the father of her future child, and the other is her best friend of many years. Yi Qingye didn't want their relationship to become too strained. This puts her in a difficult position, caught in the middle. Don't worry, I was just flustered and couldn't control my emotions just now. I've always been very friendly towards handsome men. Su Menjiao clearly noticed Yi Qingye's protectiveness towards Chen Yang. He chuckled to himself. It seems that my seemingly aloof and arrogant best friend has finally fallen for someone else. Although she herself may not even realize it, Chen Yang was completely unaware of the conversation between Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao inside the room. I sat on the sofa for a while, and then I realized it was getting late. Chen Yang simply went into the kitchen to wash the rice and cook it. Then I took out the ingredients I bought at noon from the refrigerator and prepared to start cooking, taking into account nutritional balance and Yi Qingye's taste. Chen Yang quickly came up with the menu for tonight. After washing the ingredients, I placed them on the cutting board, ready to show off my knife skills. Host detected cooking, knife skills plus 100, culinary proficiency plus 100. At the same time, the system's voice also rang in Chen Yang's mind. He could clearly feel that as he devoted time and effort to cooking, his knife skills and culinary expertise were improving at an extremely rapid pace. This feeling made Chen Yang feel incredibly good. An hour and a half later, a simple 5-dish meal with soup is freshly prepared. Stir-fried beef, boiled fish fillets, blanched shrimp, garlic-flavored lettuce, fruit salad, and a chicken soup with fresh mushrooms. With Chen Yang's meticulous plating, the food looked and smelled delicious. At the same time, inside the room, Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao talked for a long time. Just then, they smelled a peculiar fragrance. "It smells so good, what is this smell?" Su Menjiao couldn't help but exclaim. Yi Qingye took out her phone from her pocket and checked the time. It was already 6:20. The aroma wafting from outside immediately reminded me of the sumptuous meal Chen Yang had prepared for lunch. "Yayo, you're in for a treat. You have no idea how delicious Chen Yang's cooking is. In terms of taste, it's definitely no less than that of a professional chef in a hotel. I reckon he's already cooking by now. Come on, let's go out and take a look." He had just finished speaking. Yi Qingye then took Su Menjiao's arm, and the two pushed open the door and walked out of the room. Chen Yang just happened to place the food on the table at that moment. Looking back, he saw Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao appear and couldn't help but smile and say, "Qingye, you two finished talking so quickly. I just finished cooking and was just thinking of calling you all to come out and eat." Yi Qingye nodded, feeling very pleased with Chen Yang's thoughtful gesture. Immediately, a smile appeared on his face, and he replied to Chen Yang, "We can smell the fragrance in the room." "I knew it was you cooking." Chen Yang smiled and said, "Isn't it lunchtime? I was thinking that it would be a waste to leave all the ingredients I bought at noon in the refrigerator uneaten. Plus, your best friend was there too, and I figured the three of us could finish all the food. So I just made a few dishes to save us from having to go out to eat." Yi Qingye increasingly felt that Chen Yang was a thoughtful person with an excellent sense of propriety, which made her feel very comfortable. "Thanks a lot." Yi Qingye took the initiative to thank her. "No, it's all what I should do." Chen Yang shook his head and said it casually. He had promised Yi Qingye that within these 3 months, he would demonstrate through his actions that he was good enough and capable of bringing her happiness. Cooking is just one of the small things, and it's not worth showing off to Yi Qingye. "Wow, did you cook all this food yourself?" I feel that the cooking skills and plating are no less than the food I eat at big hotels, and may even be better. During their conversation, Su Menjiao had already walked to the dining table, her eyes drawn to the 5 dishes and 1 soup laid out on it. The next second, she couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Chapter 14, Su Menjiao's Praise, the value of the Yi family's son-in-law. Although Yi Qingye had already given Su Menjiao a heads-up, but Su Menjiao didn't take it seriously. But now, she was quite impressed when she saw the table full of 5 dishes and a soup, all of which looked and smelled delicious. Chen Yang is handsome and also a top student in his major. She's presentable in formal settings, equally adept in the kitchen, And most importantly, she's a real status symbol when taken out. Considering all of the above advantages, he is already qualified to be called a high-quality man. If Chen Yang's family had any money, then practically no woman could resist his charm. Upon realizing this, Su Menjiao understood why her usually aloof and elegant best friend had also fallen for Chen Yang. These are all home-style dishes, and they're not quite as good as what hotel chefs can cook. However, if you have any favorite dishes, you can tell me. I'll find some time to learn them properly and show off my skills to you when I have time. Chen Yang felt a secret thrill at Su Menjiao's praise. The corners of her mouth also unconsciously turned up slightly. After all, no man could remain unmoved when praised to his face by a beautiful woman like Su Menjiao. Of course, this excludes those who are gay. Really, that's fantastic. Su Menjiao looked delighted. Immediately, he grabbed Yi Qingya's arm and found a seat. Qingya, quickly sit down and try Chen Yang's cooking. Yi Qingya smiled and said softly to Su Menjiao, Yi Ayo, I actually tried it at noon. I'm not just praising him, but Chen Yang's cooking skills are truly outstanding. His knife skills and cooking techniques are in no way inferior to the master chef I have at home. With his cooking skills, he could attract a lot of customers and make a fortune, whether he sets up a stall outside or opens a small restaurant. A strange look flashed in Su Menjiao's eyes. She knew that the master chef in Yi Qingya's family was a chef whose ancestors had cooked for high-ranking officials and nobles. His culinary skills are renowned in the industry. To Yi Qingya's utter surprise, Chen Yang's culinary skills were comparable to those of the master chef. This shows just how delicious Chen Yang's cooking is. Is it really that exaggerated? Su Menjiao was skeptical. Why don't you try it yourself and see? Yi Qingya smiled and said, Okay, then I'll have to savor it carefully. That's all. Su Menjiao then picked up her chopsticks and placed them on one of the meat dishes. Stir-fried beef. The beef is sliced thinly, coated with a secret sauce, and exudes an irresistible aroma. Su Menjiao picked up a piece of beef and put it in her mouth to chew. The texture is fresh and smooth, paired with a rich and spicy broth. In just a moment, it assaulted Su Menjiao's taste buds, making her so happy that she almost bit her tongue off. One bite after another. It just wouldn't stop. Fresh, tender, spicy, extremely refreshing. Delicious, so delicious. This is the best beef I've ever had. Su Menjiao couldn't help but give a thumbs up and praised it highly. Eat more if it's delicious. Anyway, I made quite a lot, enough for the three of us. Chen Yang said with a smile. Seeing Su Menjiao enjoying her food so much, Yi Qingya couldn't resist any longer and decided to join the food battle. At the dinner table, there was no chatting. Everyone was engrossed in their work. Less than 15 minutes. The three of them ate all 5 dishes and 1 soup. Su Menjiao leaned back in her chair, looking satisfied. At the same time, he stroked his round belly with his right hand. She's eaten too much. For the first time in my life, I ate until I was stuffed not to fill my stomach, but simply to enjoy the pleasure that food brought me. Yi Qingya is slightly better. After all, this was only the second time she had eaten a meal cooked by Chen Yang himself, so she was somewhat restrained. Chen Yang, not wanting to waste food, finished off all the leftovers. After the meal, Chen Yang put the dishes and chopsticks into the kitchen, thoughtfully washed some fruit, cut it into a fruit platter, and served it to Yi Qingya and Su Menjiao so that they could have a taste. She immediately turned around and went back to the kitchen to clean and tidy up, watching Chen Yang's busy figure. This moment, Su Menjiao couldn't help but feel a little envious. Qingya, your luck is just too good. I had a drink, and not only did I sleep with such a handsome guy with good looks and a great physique. The key is that not only is he talented, but his culinary skills are also comparable to those of a hotel chef. And she has a great personality, and she's so gentle and considerate. If you live with him, won't you be able to eat such delicious meals every day? Yi Qingya was taken aback. Seemingly, it seems that's really the case. So could it be considered that I turned misfortune into blessing? Or is this simply fate between me and Chen Yang? If you're willing, then you can enjoy this good fortune. Yi Qingya shrugged and teased with a smile. I'd like to, but the key point is, they don't even want me. Actually, I noticed from the beginning that the way Chen Yang looked at me was noticeably different from how he looked at you. Su Menjiao sighed helplessly, looking depressed. What's the difference? Seeing this, Yi Qingya became curious and quickly asked. When Chen Yang first saw me, he was surprised and puzzled. But the way he looked at you was filled with a hint of amazement and tenderness. So I'm certain that Chen Yang has feelings for you. Otherwise, with his qualities, Although he might not be able to find a girlfriend as outstanding as you, he could easily find a woman of school beauty caliber. Even many top socialites and heiresses like his type. He could have found a partner anytime he wanted, but he's remained single until he had sex with you. Su Menjiao's words were not without reason. If it weren't for Yi Qingya's stunning beauty, her angelic appearance, and her voluptuous figure with its prominent curves, it would be a different story. Even if she was drugged and tried to seduce Chen Yang would refuse without hesitation and take her to the hospital immediately, instead of obediently cooperating and then having a relationship with Yi Qingya. This illustrates that, in Chen Yang's heart, he simply could not resist Yi Qingya's charm. This precisely proves that he has feelings for Yi Qingya. That's why I couldn't control myself. Upon realizing this, Yi Qingya felt overjoyed. At least she was attractive in Chen Yang's eyes. Isn't this normal? How many men in the world can resist my beauty? Although Yi Qingya's words had a hint of self-praise. But it is the truth. There's nothing we can do about it. She's just so beautiful, has such a great figure and such an outstanding presence. Most importantly, it's her family background. This is what countless men truly crave. It's no exaggeration to say that any man who wins Yi Qingya's favor and becomes her son-in-law will be a perfect match. That person will be able to soar into the sky and spread their wings to fly 90,000 miles. Being the son-in-law of the Yi family, the prestige of this title is enough to drive countless men crazy. Chapter 15, a kind reminder from my best friend. Of course, on the other hand, Chen Yang had no idea of Yi Qingya's true identity, so he couldn't possibly be after her for the title of Yi family son-in-law. To put it bluntly, he was simply attracted by Yi Qingya's beauty and figure. Although some of them were attracted to her beauty, it at least proves that Yi Qingya possesses a charm far exceeding that of women her age in this regard. Otherwise, as the most handsome guy in the finance department of Shanghai University, Chen Yang has so many gentle, beautiful, and well-proportioned women confessing their love to him. But in the end, no one got what they wanted. Unfortunately, Yi Qingya was drugged and in a dazed state, easily slept with the male god they admired. If this gets out, it could cause quite a stir. Qingya, you should be more careful about how you interact with Chen Yang in the future. You know, men all love to conquer women. The harder something is to get, the more they crave it. He is willing to put in any effort for this, and the greater the cost of participation, the more he will cherish it. You and Chen Yang had a relationship by chance, which resulted in you getting pregnant. So next, you need to focus on observing whether Chen Yang has a sense of responsibility, and whether he has enough ability to support you and the baby in your belly. These days, a handsome man can't put food on the table. At most, he can please your eyes and make you feel good. But in reality, if he can't have a career and a stable source of income, he probably won't be able to afford your daily expenses, prenatal checkups, and nutrition. In that case, as your best friend, I strongly suggest you break up with him decisively. However, with Chen Yang's excellent cooking skills, even if he can't find a job in a big financial company after graduation, he can start his own restaurant and support a family without any problem. Su Menjiao was only speaking these heartfelt words as a close friend, because she was thinking of Yi Qingya. While somewhat biased, it is not without its merits. But, based on Yi Qingya's understanding of Chen Yang, this situation was clearly impossible. According to the information she gathered, Chen Yang was the top student in the entire grade and had extremely strong professional skills. He not only gained the appreciation of his mentor, but also the attention of the school leaders. They have spoken with Chen Yang multiple times, hoping he will stay at the university as a teacher after graduation, and have offered him a high salary and benefits. Besides, several top-ranked financial companies in Shanghai have also taken notice of Chen Yang, and some have even sent him job offers through their HR departments. It can be said that Chen Yang had already received an offer from a major financial company before he even stepped out of the school gate. If he wanted, he could easily become a university teacher with an annual salary of hundreds of thousands, or a promising professional in the financial field. He may not be a second-generation rich kid, but he can build his own future with his own hands through his outstanding personal abilities. Compared to ordinary people, he is already considered very outstanding. Most importantly, Chen Yang is still so young. The outcome is still uncertain. You and I could be dark horses. No one can guarantee that Chen Yang won't one day rise to the top of the financial investment world through his own hard work. The only thing that can be guaranteed is that, given Chen Yang's character and abilities, he is destined not to be too bad, even if he really is unlucky. But that's okay. Yi Qingye only needs to make a slight move to give him a chance to change his own destiny. Chen Yang can still emerge from the abyss like a dragon hidden in the water and soar into the sky. Chapter 16, Making Money. Any profession will do. Of course, these were all Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao's thoughts. However, in reality, Chen Yang was far more outstanding than they imagined. Not long after, Chen Yang came out of the kitchen, sat down in front of Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao, and asked with a curious look, "What are you two talking about that makes you seem so happy?" Yi Qingye smiled slightly and then explained, "Yaya was worried that you wouldn't be able to find a good job after graduation. She said that with your excellent cooking skills, you could make a lot of money even if you started your own restaurant." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang smiled and said, "Really? I've never thought of that before, but now that you mention it, it seems like a good idea. Everyone knows that Shanghai is a high-cost city. Whether it is white-collar workers or elites in various industries, they are all willing to pay for their quality of life. They have to socialize while working, and they'll meet up with friends on weekends when they have free time. They generally don't skimp on food. So as long as the dishes taste good and the prices aren't too expensive, there will still be some business." Su Menjiao nodded. "That's right, that's what I think too. However, Chen Yang, you are a top student in the finance department of Shanghai University. After graduation, instead of joining a big financial company and earning a high salary, living a glamorous professional life, you became a restaurant owner. Don't you feel that you have wasted all the hard work you have put into your studies over the years?" Chen Yang shook his head. "The reason I study hard is that I want to work hard to gradually move from my hometown to the big city, see the scenery I want to see, and experience a different kind of life. And I never thought that I had to become that kind of person. I just want to do my best to give my parents and brother a better life. Of course, now there is another goal, which is to be worthy of Qingye and bring happiness to her and the child. This doesn't really have much to do with what industry I work in. It's just that, for me, making financial investments is more profitable than running a restaurant." These words were spoken. Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao exchanged a quick glance. They were quite surprised by Chen Yang's sincerity and straightforwardness. After all, they've seen too many men who package themselves as so-called social elites and career leaders. They may look glamorous, but they don't actually have much real talent. All they know is how to flatter, fawn, and belittle the powerful. They indirectly use various relationships to seek personal gain. I've never met a man as straightforward as Chen Yang before. In reality, Chen Yang had absolutely no connections to use. The only person he could rely on was himself. "So, are you planning to work for a financial company next?" Yi Qingye knew that Chen Yang had already received offers from several financial companies. I didn't have a chance to ask Chen Yang before. Now that she had this rare opportunity, she naturally wanted to talk to him about his future career development. Although Yi Qingye does not discriminate against the poor and love the rich. However, to become her man, one's conditions in all aspects cannot be too bad. Otherwise, outsiders will definitely gossip about it. The most crucial point is that if Chen Yang is incompetent, then even if she genuinely likes him and is willing to live with him, it won't matter. The Yi family might not even acknowledge his identity. Yi Qingye, caught in the middle, would undoubtedly have a very difficult time. Therefore, in order to prevent this from happening, Yi Qingye felt it was necessary to give Chen Yang a proper reminder. Chapter 17, Two Fists Break Through the Bare Walls. In fact, the higher a family's social status, the more they value marriage between people of similar social standing. After all, no one wants the fruits of their family's generations of hard work to be taken away by an outsider. Especially in officialdom, many poor farm boys, because of their good looks and outstanding abilities, are favored by the daughters of powerful and wealthy families. With the help of their father-in-law's family, they are promoted step by step and eventually gain control of power. Logically, after enjoying the family's political resources, he should have an obligation to contribute to the family's prosperity. As a result, the first thing the other party did after landing was to kill the person next to them in bed. As the number of such cases, like the farmer and the snake, the ungrateful wretch who can never be tamed, gradually increased. Many powerful families have gradually realized that instead of exhausting their energy to cultivate someone from another family, it is better to cultivate their own children. Even if they do not eventually reach a high position, at least they can firmly suppress their sons-in-law. Therefore, no matter how outstanding the son-in-law is in a wealthy or powerful family, they will not be given any extra resources. The fear is that the other party will develop a rebellious mentality once they gain power. It can only be said that those Phoenix men, men from humble backgrounds who achieved success, narrowed their own path, causing later generations to completely lose this path to success. Although Chen Yang was fully qualified, his upbringing destined him not to take such a shortcut. Moreover, he has now activated the super all-powerful system by chance. With the numerous abilities provided by the system, he is well positioned to walk his own path to the top. Of course, Yi Qingye was unaware of these things. But when Chen Yang saw Yi Qingye's concern for his job prospects after graduation, he couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart. He smiled slightly and said softly, "Qingye, to be honest, I had already received offers from several financial companies, and the salaries and benefits they offered were very good. To be honest, I'm quite tempted, but your appearance changed my mind." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye frowned slightly. She was somewhat surprised and asked curiously, "What does this have to do with me?" Chen Yang continued, "Qingye, you are so beautiful, with a great figure and a noble air. The clothes you are wearing are all designer brands and are very expensive. Anyone who looks at you can tell that you come from a wealthy and noble family. If I honestly go to work for a financial company, no matter how outstanding I am, it will be difficult to prove my abilities to you and your family in a short period of time. So after careful consideration, I decided not to work for a financial company, but to start my own business. In the early stages, I will use my professional skills to earn my first pot of gold in the stock market. Then, I will start a company according to my plan and have my own business." Faced with Yi Qingye's questioning gaze, Chen Yang made no attempt to hide anything and frankly told her his thoughts and plans. After hearing these words, Yi Qingye fell silent for a short while, because she knew in her heart that what Chen Yang said made a lot of sense. At school, Chen Yang was the most handsome guy in the finance department and the top student in his class, with a dazzling aura surrounding him. But after graduating and entering society, he had neither family background nor connections. You can only rely on your own abilities to build your future step by step. According to Chen Yang's established plan, he will definitely go to work for a financial company, accumulate experience in his work, and continuously strengthen his professional skills. If you're lucky, you can get promoted and receive a raise after a few years, and after accumulating some connections and funds, you can then consider other development opportunities. However, the appearance of Yi Qingye and her unborn child forced Chen Yang to change his plans. The entire process was accelerated several times over. At the same time, the pressure on his shoulders has increased exponentially. Even so, Chen Yang never complained about the hardship or fatigue, but instead shouldered the responsibilities of a man and forged ahead. Chapter 18. Shocking news: nearly 10 million in funds. Yi Qingye's gaze towards Chen Yang unconsciously softened. She knew that Chen Yang was under tremendous pressure. This pressure stems from her family. If Yi Qingye came from an ordinary family, Chen Yang's abilities would make it very easy for him to gain her family's approval. But the Yi family is a powerful and influential family in Kyoto. They wield terrifying influence across the military, political, and business spheres. Given the prestige of the family, one can imagine the pressure Chen Yang would face in passing the test. Although Chen Yang did not know Yi Qingye's true identity, it did not affect his guess that the Yi family was either rich or noble. But he chose to bear it all in silence. This alone shows that Chen Yang is a responsible man with a strong sense of duty. Chen Yang, isn't what you're doing a bit too hasty? After all, starting a business not only requires startup capital, but also involves great risks. A slight misstep could result in losing everything. But if you work at a financial company, with your education and abilities, as long as you pass the internship, you'll have a monthly salary of at least 10,000 to 20,000 yuan after you become a full-time employee. After accumulating work experience and connections, plenty of opportunities will be waiting for you. In comparison, the probability of success will be greater, and you can avoid many detours. Yi Qingye looked worried. Based entirely on Chen Yang's actual situation, she has analyzed what she believes to be the most correct choice. Ultimately, it was all for Chen Yang's own good, to prevent him from making the wrong decision in a moment of impulsiveness. "Qingye, I know you're only reminding me of these things because you're thinking of me. But I am very clear-headed now and know what I am doing. Moreover, this decision was not made on a whim, but after careful consideration. It should be put first. Chen Yang will definitely follow Yi Qingye's advice and start working at the financial company step by step. Then work hard, strive to become a full-time employee as soon as possible, shine in your position, and make achievements early. But now, Chen Yang has already earned his first pot of gold in the financial market by using the title of God of Investment, bestowed upon him by the system. Currently, he still has nearly 10 million yuan in his investment account. With this initial capital, as long as Chen Yang works steadily and surely, he believes that it won't be long before he can make a name for himself in Shanghai's financial circle and build a career of his own. He could also take this opportunity to prove his abilities to Yi Qingye. Chen Yang was full of confidence, but Yi Qingye was filled with worry. Ideals are lofty, but reality is cruel. Starting a business is like 1,000 troops crossing a single plank bridge. Those who can truly emerge from the fierce competition in the market are all ruthless and capable individuals. Chen Yang, a college student who has not yet graduated, has no entrepreneurial experience whatsoever, and no one in his family has ever run a business. They lacked both funds and connections. Starting a business successfully is as difficult as climbing to the sky. Yi Qingye didn't want to put too much pressure on Chen Yang because of her, so that he would make a decision he would regret. Chen Yang, it's not that I lack confidence in you, but the road to entrepreneurship is just too difficult. Why don't you first accumulate some work experience, conduct research and investigation on the market environment, and then consider whether you want to continue down this path? In case your investment fails and you lose everything, I'm afraid it will damage your confidence and make you never recover. Yi Qingye met Chen Yang's gaze and spoke in a somewhat tactful tone, but it conveyed the message that he should reconsider. Chen Yang was well aware of this. He smiled, took his phone out of his pocket, and tapped the screen a few times. Then he handed the phone to Yi Qingye. Yi Qingye was taken aback by Chen Yang's sudden action. "What are you doing?" Chen Yang smiled slightly and then said, "Qingye, you may not know this, but of the 4 of us in the dorm, the other 3 besides me are all from wealthy families. In order to quickly earn my first pot of gold, I raised 1.35 million yuan from them, plus 30,000 yuan that I had saved from part-time jobs and scholarships during my college years, for a total of 1.38 million yuan. I used this money to open an investment account at a company called Dingfeng Securities in the Shanghai World Financial Center. That afternoon, I multiplied my money several times over by trading Hong Kong stocks. This is the money in my account, and it also contains my transaction records. If you don't believe me, you can take a look for yourself." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao both looked shocked and incredulous. "Chen Yang, you're incredibly audacious. You actually borrowed money to speculate in stocks. The key point is that your roommates actually borrowed it." Su Menjiao exclaimed in surprise. "That's not the point. The point is that Chen Yang said he invested in stocks in the afternoon, and his money multiplied several times over." Although Yi Qingye didn't know much about the financial industry, she understood just how difficult it was to make money in the stock market. Although Chen Yang is a top student in the finance department with excellent professional skills, but he is still just a student and hasn't really entered the industry yet. Theory and practice are ultimately different. However, Yi Qingye never expected that Chen Yang's ability in financial investment would be so outstanding. To be precise, it's almost 7 times. The initial investment was 1.38 million. After deducting transaction fees and commissions, I now have 9.52 million in my account. Chen Yang grinned and said softly. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Qingye immediately took Chen Yang's phone, and the screen immediately displayed a financial stock trading software page. The account balance above clearly shows a long string of numbers. 9,524,210.25. 1/10,100,000, 10,000. Yi Qingye counted twice. A 7-figure sum, undoubtedly 9,520,000. Until this moment, Yi Qingye still felt it wasn't quite real, because it was simply too dreamlike for her. Even if this had happened to a top financial company executive, Yi Qingye wouldn't have been this shocked. But Chen Yang was just a senior college student about to graduate, and he had never even had any work experience in the financial industry. However, he has excellent professional skills and has consistently ranked first in his grade. This proves that his theoretical knowledge is indeed very solid. I never expected that his actual skills would be just as good as his theoretical knowledge. Yiyao, it's all true. Chen Yang really does have over 9.52 million in his investment account. After a while, Yi Qingye looked at Su Menjiao and said incredulously, "Let me see." After Su Menjiao came to her senses, He snatched the phone from Yikinya's hand. She comes from a relatively wealthy family, and given her artistic background, she has specific requirements regarding her figure and appearance. Therefore, her family gives her a six-figure allowance every month. After deducting the monthly expenses for skincare products, cosmetics, food, and entertainment, there is still some savings. Su Menjiao usually chooses to use this spare money to buy stocks and funds. Over time, she also gained some understanding of financial investment. Soon, Su Menjiao then tapped a few times on the screen. After confirming that it is not a stock trading simulator, but a real stock trading account, she looked at the balance in her account, her eyes filled with disbelief. After all that, it turns out Chen Yang is actually a financial genius. They only needed to make a small effort to earn their first 10 million. However, she and Yikinya were still worried about each other's future prospects. Looking back now, it was utterly ignorant and laughable. Chapter 19 relies on real skill, not luck. After a long while, Su Menjiao finally suppressed her excitement and looked at Chen Yang with a complicated expression. She really didn't expect that Chen Yang had such great abilities. Su Menjiao took a deep breath before saying to Yikinya, "Kinya, I've checked. This isn't a simulation software. The account's transaction history and profits show that they all occurred this afternoon. So everything Chen Yang said is true. He really did earn his first pot of gold in the financial market through his own abilities." Upon receiving this accurate answer, Yikinya was shocked, her expression filled with disbelief. It's obvious. Yikinya never expected that Chen Yang's investment talent in the financial field seemed to be ridiculously strong. Despite the information she obtained from her investigation, Chen Yang was a genius academic who consistently topped the list in the finance department and was ranked first in his major. But that was ultimately a theoretical achievement. This is completely different from the results achieved in actual financial market trading. After all, the finance department of Shanghai University produces many geniuses every year, and most of them go on to work for top financial companies in Shanghai after graduation. However, the probability of someone truly making a name for themselves in the financial field solely through their exceptional talent and abilities is less than 10%. Therefore, although Chen Yang's grades were excellent, Yikinya did not really take them seriously. She had previously worried whether Chen Yang was capable of supporting himself and the baby in his womb. But now, Chen Yang has delivered a satisfactory answer to Yikinya through his own abilities. It could even be said that it brought her a huge surprise. "Chen Yang, you're really amazing. Tell us, how exactly did you do that?" After her initial surprise, Yikinya gradually calmed down. Immediately, he stared at Chen Yang with excited eyes and asked him a question. Seeing Yikinya's curiosity, Chen Yang hesitated for a moment before explaining. "Kinya, to be honest, I've had the idea of trying to invest in the stock market for a long time. It's just that we haven't had the funds before, so it's been delayed. Recently, through my observation and data analysis, I discovered a stock in Hong Kong with good potential. It is suspected that a major player is secretly accumulating shares, intending to forcefully drive up the stock price and make a fortune in the process. I happen to have borrowed some money from my roommates, so I boldly got involved. I never expected to be so lucky. I got to eat some big meat along with the bookmaker." Chen Yang did not reveal that he possessed the omnipotent system. Let's set aside whether Yikinya believes it or not. This golden finger is currently his biggest secret and his key to reaching the pinnacle of life. So Chen Yang doesn't plan to tell Yikinya, or even his own parents and younger brother. Only in this way can we avoid causing trouble and prevent being coveted by those with ulterior motives. Su Menjiao opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. She had at least some experience in stock trading and had bought shares in quite a few listed companies, but they almost always lost more than they won. Without solid professional knowledge and keen judgment, it is extremely difficult for ordinary people to profit in the financial market. Even if you're lucky and manage to make some money, you'll eventually lose it all back in other ways. It's difficult for people to earn money beyond what they understand. Su Menjiao was well aware of this. Therefore, she was certain that the whole story could not be summarized in just a few words by Chen Yang. But since Chen Yang wouldn't go into details, she naturally felt embarrassed to press him for more information. She secretly resolved to tell her best friend Yikinya to keep a close eye on Chen Yang and find out his background and abilities. "Chen Yang, I'm not a 3-year-old child. Don't try to fool me with those kinds of words. Financial investment, to put it bluntly, is a game of capital in the market. You might be able to make some money from them by sheer luck, but it's definitely impossible to make tens of millions. Your ability to discover and act on this to make such a large sum of money from the financial market undoubtedly proves that your skills and methods are far beyond what ordinary people can match. Yi Qingye shook her head, clearly dissatisfied with Chen Yang's explanation. In her opinion, Chen Yang, at a young age, was able to earn his first pot of gold in the financial stock market. It relies on ability, courage, and an investment acumen far beyond that of ordinary people. His talent and ability cannot be easily dismissed by the word luck. Therefore, Yi Qingye's evaluation of Chen Yang was undoubtedly much higher. I'm just being modest. Although this amount of money is indeed considerable, it is still far behind the large speculative funds in the market. I don't want to become arrogant and complacent because of temporary gains. Financial investments always involve both risk and reward. This time I made a successful investment and earned nearly 10 million, but next time, if I'm not careful, I could lose everything. Therefore, I have always approached investing with a sense of awe. Only in this way can I remain rational at all times and make the best decision at crucial moments. Chen Yang gave an awkward smile and looked at Yi Qingye to explain. What you said makes a lot of sense. On the contrary, I seem to be getting a bit too arrogant. After realizing what had happened, Yi Qingye felt a sense of lingering fear. After all, Chen Yang's money for investing in stocks was almost entirely borrowed from his roommates. If his investment fails, he will be burdened with debts exceeding 1 million. Given his family background and abilities, it's practically impossible for him to turn his life around in less than 3 to 5 years. Therefore, Chen Yang is not only facing the unpredictable risks of the stock market, but is also gambling with his future. Thank goodness, Chen Yang won his gamble thanks to his outstanding investment skills. That's how I successfully earned my first pot of gold. Qingye, you might not believe it, but if it weren't for your appearance, I probably wouldn't have made up my mind so quickly to take this step, let alone achieved such great success. In a sense, you are my lucky charm. Moreover, I have a strong feeling that you will completely change the trajectory of my life from now on. Chen Yang's statement was not intended to flatter Yi Qingye. Indeed, that is the case. If Yi Qingye hadn't gotten pregnant and come to him, Chen Yang wouldn't have been able to activate the system, let alone gain the ability to change his own destiny. Therefore, he was truly grateful to Yi Qingye. However, due to certain reasons, he could not tell Yi Qingye directly, and could only express his gratitude and affection for her through other means. Chen Yang, what are you talking about? Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye's ears turned bright red. Her stunningly beautiful face suddenly revealed a shy expression. She was clearly taken aback by Chen Yang's sudden display of affection. After all, Yi Qingye had never been in a relationship before, let alone been so intimate with a man. This kind of reaction is perfectly normal. Su Menjiao, standing to the side, watched the scene unfold with a look of envy on her face. Chen Yang, Qingye, can you two stop being so lovey-dovey? Please consider my feelings and stop making me, a single person, feel like I'm being subjected to public displays of affection. Chapter 20. Never having been in a relationship doesn't mean I can't pursue girls. Su Menjiao felt that her presence here was clearly superfluous. The young couple is showing affection, and their relationship is heating up. But she's here eating dog food and acting as a third wheel. It doesn't seem quite right at all. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye quickly denied it, saying, Yayo, that's not true. Don't listen to Chen Yang's nonsense. My relationship with him didn't develop that quickly at all. Seeing this, Su Menjiao chuckled and couldn't help but say, Qingye, you are able to remain rational, but Chen Yang may not be able to. You know, you're the undisputed campus beauty and goddess of Shanghai University. Your looks, figure, and temperament, which one of them wouldn't drive men crazy? Chen Yang is young and vigorous at the age when he is full of energy. Moreover, you two will be living together from now on, so it is inevitable that things will get out of hand. Yi Qingye felt a surge of shyness and glared at Su Menjiao with a hint of annoyance. Although Su Menjiao's words were not without merit. Knowing something is one thing, but actively bringing it up is another. Wouldn't her words make Yi Qingye and Chen Yang even more embarrassed? Qingye, I must admit, you are very beautiful and I am very attracted to you. But don't worry, I will never force you to do anything. Chen Yang's gaze swept over Yi Qingye, his expression extremely serious. It's clear that his words came from the bottom of his heart. Chen Yang, if it were before, I might have had some concerns. But the fact that you've made such a large sum of money through stock market investments already shows that your abilities are even better than I imagined. So I'm really looking forward to your performance next. Yi Qingya met Chen Yang's gaze and spoke softly. A smile curved Chen Yang's lips. Although Yi Qingya did not make any promises, her attitude was much better than before. To be honest, this is not surprising at all. Chen Yang is good-looking, has an outstanding image and temperament, and is also highly intelligent, making him a true academic star. He has an outgoing personality and strong logical thinking and verbal communication skills. Aside from his ordinary family background, he has no obvious shortcomings. In most women's eyes, Chen Yang is already considered a high-quality man. They wouldn't easily let him go if they met him. Even Yi Qingya had to admit it. Compared to the other talented young men she had met before, Chen Yang was in no way inferior in any aspect, regardless of his family background. Moreover, Chen Yang has just graduated. He is young, energetic, and has a limitless future. It would be a lie for Yi Qingya not to be tempted by such a promising prospect. Don't worry, I will definitely make you accept me. Chen Yang's words were full of confidence. There are actually many ways to win a woman's heart. Most women admire strength. As long as Chen Yang continues to demonstrate his abilities in front of Yi Qingya, she will definitely be attracted by the aura emanating from him. Secondly, Chen Yang noticed that Yi Qingya was somewhat obsessed with looks. With his good looks and appearance, he actually has a great advantage in this regard. At the very least, Chen Yang still has a trump card: food. As long as he shows off his culinary skills and cooks a few more delicious meals for Yi Qingya, this alone is enough to win over Yi Qingya step by step. Chen Yang had never had a girlfriend before, but that doesn't mean he was clueless about love or didn't know how to pursue girls. However, due to personal financial reasons, he chose to prioritize making a living before pursuing love. But fate played a cruel joke on him, bringing him into contact with the school beauty and goddess, Yi Qingya. After a brief period of contact and getting to know each other, Chen Yang developed a rather favorable impression of Yi Qingya. He secretly resolved to win Yi Qingya's heart and make her feel at ease giving birth to the child in her womb. This will be the most important thing for Chen Yang at this stage, without exception. Chapter 21, since you're interested, let's talk about it seriously. As the old saying goes, when you meet a good man, start a family first. When you meet a benefactor, establish a career first. Getting married and starting a career is a topic that men have never been able to avoid throughout the ages. Currently, Chen Yang and Yi Qingya have unexpectedly developed a relationship, resulting in Yi Qingya becoming pregnant. It's clear that even God is creating opportunities for Chen Yang. If Chen Yang doesn't seize this opportunity and successfully marry Yi Qingya, then he would be letting this fate down. Moreover, Chen Yang has now activated the super all-powerful system, gaining an extraordinary brain and the title of God of Investment, making him a completely different person from before. Money gives men courage. Chen Yang's initial investment of over 1 million yuan grew to nearly 10 million yuan through stock market investments, resulting in a profit of over 8 million yuan. And this is just one investment. Later, Chen Yang will inevitably re-enter the stock market, and he will only earn more wealth then. When he is no longer troubled by money, his confidence will become very strong. Their personal image and temperament will also undergo a dramatic change. Therefore, Chen Yang was fully confident that he could make Yi Qingya fall in love with him. Afterwards, Su Menjiao pulled Yi Qingya into the room, and the two sat on the bed. She looked at Yi Qingya with envy and said slowly, "Qingya, it seems you might actually turn misfortune into a blessing this time." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingya's face was full of surprise, and she subconsciously asked, "Yaya, what do you mean by that?" "Qingya, you've had countless suitors over the years, including outstanding juniors and seniors, scions of wealthy and influential families, and even descendants of high-ranking officials and nobles. You've seen all kinds of men, every type imaginable, but there isn't a single man who can truly move your heart. You have the most special feelings for Chen Yang. Perhaps it's because you had a relationship, or perhaps it's because he's the biological father of the child you're carrying. But undeniably, I can sense that you genuinely have some feelings for him. After all, Chen Yang is handsome and has a good posture. Not only does he have sound values and excellent character, but he is also intelligent and skilled in cooking, so he can make money. Aside from his slightly less privileged family background, he is almost flawless. If you really like a high-quality man like this, you should seize the opportunity to avoid being lured away by other women. Su Menjiao took Yi Qingya's hand, her expression serious, and earnestly advised her. I don't like him at all. It was as if her secret thoughts had been revealed. At this moment, Yi Qingya's pretty face flushed slightly, displaying the affected modesty of a young girl. Qingya, it's one thing for you to fool me, but don't fool yourself too. Do you dare say that you haven't felt even the slightest bit of attraction to Chen Yang? If it weren't for that, given your personality, you probably would have aborted the baby long ago. How could you possibly have approached Chen Yang and agreed to live with him for 3 months, giving him a chance to prove himself? Su Menjiao didn't believe Yi Qingya's nonsense at all. The questioning left Yi Qingya speechless. Seeing this, Su Menjiao continued, Qingya, don't stop believing in love just because I met a jerk. In my opinion, Chen Yang is definitely a reliable man, 100 times better than that scumbag I dated before. If you're really interested in Chen Yang, then you should take it seriously. Don't wait until it's too late and then regret it. Chapter 22, it's not that she's being hypocritical, it's just that Chen Yang is too capable. The reason why Su Menjiao's words are so different is not because she is hypocritical. It was only after she got to know Chen Yang that she realized he was far more outstanding than she had imagined. Dating and marriage are, frankly, two completely different things. If it's about dating in college, a guy like Chen Yang, who has excellent grades, consistently ranks first in the entire grade, receives scholarships every year, and is known as the campus heartthrob, would definitely be the first choice. However, if they are to get married, it's not only necessary for the two of them to like each other, but also for their families to get along harmoniously. To put it bluntly, it's about being a good match in terms of social standing and economic status. Even if our family backgrounds are different, it doesn't matter. However, Chen Yang's family background was vastly different from Yi Qingya's. From her best friend's perspective, she was definitely advising Yi Qingya to cut her losses in time. Even if they forced themselves to be together, they might not be able to get past Yi Qingya's parents in the end. But Chen Yang is just too capable. His outstanding talent can completely make up for the disadvantage of his poor family background. After all, with Chen Yang's financial investment skills, as long as he is willing to work hard, it won't be long before he can still make his family live a wealthy life. At that time, Chen Yang's only weakness will completely disappear. At that time, given Chen Yang's qualities, countless beautiful women would have wanted to climb the social ladder. Even though Yi Qingya is beautiful, has a good figure, outstanding temperament, and a good family background, if you're slow at one step, you'll be slow at every step. Love may come in stages, but marriage does not. Once Chen Yang gets married, unless his wife is blind, she will never leave him. At that time, Yi Qingya will have nowhere to cry. And now, Yi Qingya is pregnant with Chen Yang's child, and given that their relationship developed in a rather haphazard way, he must feel somewhat guilty towards her. With her natural advantages, as well as Yi Qingya's looks and charm, winning over Chen Yang would be a piece of cake. Su Menjiao was thinking of Yi Qingya, which is why she told her these things alone. If it weren't for the fact that they were best friends, Su Menjiao would have been unable to resist pursuing Chen Yang. After all, men as outstanding as him are extremely rare. To meet one might take a lifetime of good luck. At this point, Su Menjiao began to envy her best friend Yi Qingya. With such an outstanding man coming to her door, she could have him without having to resort to any means. She thought she had found her prince charming, but little did she know that he was a womanizer who had been playing the field for years. Comparing yourself to others is infuriating. After hearing her best friend Su Menjiao's words, Yi Qingya fell into deep thought for a moment. Indeed, what Su Menjiao said makes a lot of sense. If she didn't like Chen Yang and wasn't attracted to him at all, how could she have agreed to live with him and even given him 3 months to prove himself? Aesthetically inclined person, or just a physiological attraction? Perhaps both, but the most crucial point is that Yi Qingya genuinely admires Chen Yang. For her, one's background is difficult to change, but one can strive to become excellent and achieve greater success through hard work. Chen Yang is undoubtedly such a person, striving for self-improvement and possessing extraordinary abilities. Even relying solely on oneself, one can still rise above others and become someone that countless people look up to. Such people are often more charismatic than those who rise to prominence by relying on family influence, because every step he took was the result of his own hard work and struggle. The most stable and solid path. Only then can one accumulate experience and achieve great things, reaching even higher and more prestigious positions. Yiao, don't worry, I know what I should do. Yi Qingya took Su Menjiao's hand and said with a smile, That's good. You must think carefully about this matter. It not only concerns your future happiness, but also the fate of the child in your womb and his father. Su Menjiao said all she had to say. She had no right to make decisions for Yi Qingye regarding the rest. As the city lights begin to twinkle and night falls, darkness descends. Before we knew it, it was past 8 o'clock in the evening. Seeing that it was getting late, Su Menjiao wanted to get up and leave, but Yi Qingye blocked her way. Yi Ayo, since you don't have anything to do back at school anyway, why don't you stay here tonight and sleep with me? Yi Qingye clung to Su Menjiao's arm, pouting sweetly. Qingye, you're not afraid of living with Chen Yang, worried that he might do something bad to you, are you? Su Menjiao, after all, has been through this before. He could see right through Yi Qingye's purpose in asking him to stay. Yi Ayo, I've never lived under the same roof as a man before, so it's inevitable that I'm a little nervous. Just do me a favor and sleep with me tonight. Yi Qingye smiled slightly and said, Fine, since you're my best friend. Since you've already asked me for a favor, I can't very well refuse. But don't come back saying I ruined your plans. Su Menjiao chuckled. She really couldn't understand her best friend. If you're afraid of living with Chen Yang, why deliberately make him move out? That's a complete contradiction. If it were her, she would be overjoyed to live with such a handsome, fit, and skilled cook. She would have no time to think about those messy things. On the other side, seeing that Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao were still in the room, Chen Yang did not disturb them further. He grabbed a change of clothes and went into the bathroom, where he took a nice hot shower. Then I hand-washed the underwear and socks. As for the clothes and pants, he threw them into the washing machine. After finishing all that, Chen Yang walked to Yi Qingye's door and knocked. Not long after, the door was opened. Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao stood at the door, their eyes fixed on Chen Yang. Qingye, Menjiao, I'm done washing. You can wash now. Chen Yang smiled and spoke to the two women. Hearing this, Yi Qingye nodded. Okay, we'll wash later. I'm going back to my room to play on the computer for a while. If you need anything, just knock on the door. After Chen Yang finished speaking, he turned around and went into the room, closing the door behind him. This action caused Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao to exchange a glance. They could clearly sense that Chen Yang was somewhat reserved. This Chen Yang is quite interesting. Qingye, I think you two are getting more and more compatible. Su Menjiao laughed out loud. Stop joking, I'm going to take a shower. I'm all sweaty and smelly today, it's so uncomfortable. Yi Qingye rolled her eyes at Su Menjiao, annoyed. Then she turned around and walked towards her wardrobe. He took a set of black underwear and a change of pajamas from inside and headed towards the bathroom. Chen Yang was completely unaware of this. Now, he was already sitting in front of the computer. The software opens, displaying a dynamic analysis chart of U.S. stocks. Today is a transformative day for Chen Yang. In the afternoon, I opened an investment account at Dingfeng Securities and made over 8 million in Hong Kong stocks, bringing my total capital to nearly 10 million. For ordinary people, this might be an astronomical sum, but compared to the Yi family, they might not even be worth mentioning. He still has a long way to go if he wants to win Yi Qingye's heart and gain the Yi family's approval within 3 months. Therefore, Chen Yang is determined to seize every minute and second to improve himself. Investing in U.S. stocks is the best option for him right now. Chapter 23, Investing in U.S. Stocks, Currency Exchange. As is widely known, there is a geographical and time difference between China and the United States. Therefore, the trading hours for U.S. stocks are very different from those in China. U.S. stock market opening times are adjusted according to U.S. Daylight Saving Time and Standard Time, as follows. 1. Daylight Saving Time, the second Sunday in March to the first Sunday in November. Opening time, 21:30 Beijing time. Closing time, 4:00 a.m. the following day. Winter time, the first Sunday in November to the second Sunday in March of the following year. Opening time, 22:30 Beijing time. Closing time, 5:00 a.m. the following day. Pre-market trading, 16:00 21:30 during summer time, 19:00 22:30 during winter time, Beijing time. It's early March now, so the market should open during daylight saving time. Therefore, Chen Yang can now engage in pre-market trading and wait for the U.S. stock market to open. However, before that, Chen Yang had to make a phone call to the manager of Dingfeng Securities to convert the cash in his account into U.S. dollars before he could conduct stock market transactions. Chen Yang is a man of action. He does what he thinks of. He immediately took out his phone, found manager Wang Zhang's phone number, and dialed it directly. At the same time, Dingfeng Securities Company, manager's office. Wang Zhang finished his shift and was about to go home when his phone suddenly rang. Wang Zhang immediately took out his phone and saw that the caller ID showed Chen Yang, who had opened an account at the company that afternoon and made a fortune by trading Hong Kong stocks. His expression immediately became excited. Strange, why would Mr. Chen contact me at this time? Could it be that something has happened? Wang Zhang felt suspicious. However, his hands moved very quickly. He decisively pressed the answer button and then said respectfully, "Mr. Chen, this is Wang Zhang, a business manager at Dingfeng Securities. Is there anything you need me to do?" "Manager Wang, there's something I'd like to ask you for a favor. Didn't I open a U.S. stock account with your company this afternoon? I happen to have some free time and would like to trade U.S. stocks. Would it be convenient for me to convert all the funds in my account into U.S. dollars?" Chen Yang smiled and said to Wang Zhang, "You mean right now?" Wang Zhang looked completely bewildered. He glanced at his watch. It was already 8:30 p.m. The bank staff had already left work long ago. Even most of the staff at Dingfeng Securities have left, leaving only a few people still working overtime. Under these circumstances, it would be quite difficult for him to help Chen Yang complete the exchange of U.S. dollars. "That's right. Because the U.S. stock market is about to open, I'm going to make a trade. Manager Wang, is it too late now, making it difficult to exchange funds?" Chen Yang's idea was also impromptu. If he had known this would happen, he should have converted all the funds in his account into U.S. dollars before leaving Dingfeng Securities in the afternoon. In this way, there's no need to make this call to Wang Zhang, which would cause him trouble at work. "Mr. Chen, to be honest, most of our company's staff have already left work. It is indeed quite difficult to exchange for U.S. dollars at this time. However, I can report this to our general manager Liu for you. I'll call you back later to get the details. Is that all right?" If it were any other client, Wang Zhang would definitely make excuses and postpone the work until tomorrow. After all, this is a normal work process. But Chen Yang is different. He is an absolute investment genius, and he has also received high praise from Mr. Liu. Wang Zhang naturally wanted to do him a favor, given his exceptional talent. Moreover, as General Manager Liu had previously stated, Wang Zhang was instructed to closely monitor the other party's actions. If Wang Zhang were to ask General Manager Liu for instructions at this time, he would not only not be scolded, but would actually be praised. It was only after careful consideration that Wang Zhang dared to say these words to Chen Yang. "Sure, regardless of how your leaders respond, I, Chen Yang, will remember Manager Wang's favor. Chen Yang is a very simple person. If someone treats me with respect, I will treat them with even greater respect. If someone opens doors of convenience for him, he will naturally not forget to repay their kindness after he benefits from it." Therefore, he was very grateful for Wang Zhang's actions. Upon hearing Chen Yang's words, Wang Zhang was deeply moved. As soon as he hung up the phone, Wang Zhang dialed Liu Jindong's number. Beep, beep, beep. The phone rang for several seconds before being answered. "Wang Zhang, everyone at the company is off work at this hour. What's wrong? Can't you talk about it tomorrow? Why do you have to call me now? You'd better have something important to do, or you'll see what I do to you when you get to the office tomorrow." However, the next second, Liu Jindong's angry curses came from the other end. Wang Zhang looked embarrassed and then quickly replied, "President Liu, please calm down. The reason I'm calling you is that I have something important to ask you about and report. The investment genius Mr. Chen Yang that I told you about this afternoon just called me. He wants me to help him convert all the funds in his account into U.S. dollars so he can start trading U.S. stocks later. What do you think I should do about this?" Upon hearing this, Liu Jindong's expression froze. Immediately, a steady voice pressed Wang Zhang, asking, "Wang Zhang, are you saying that Mr. Chen asked you to exchange U.S. dollars so he could speculate on U.S. stocks?" "Yes, Mr. Liu. As you know, at this time, everyone in our company has left work, and I don't have the authority to operate on my own. But Mr. Chen needs it urgently, so I took the liberty of asking you for instructions." "Mr. Liu, what should we do? Mr. Chen is still waiting for my call." Wang Zhang said softly. Liu Jindong's eyes flickered, and he fell into deep thought for a moment. He had personally reviewed Chen Yang's trading records and learned that the other party was an investment genius, and more importantly, so young. Their future prospects are undoubtedly limitless. Furthermore, Chen Yang made over 8 million yuan today at Dingfeng Securities. Who can guarantee that he won't make more profits from U.S. stocks? If it were Dingfeng Securities, this issue of US dollar exchange would affect Chen Yang's trading plan. If investigated, Dingfeng Securities will also bear an unshirkable responsibility. Given this, it's hard to guarantee that Chen Yang won't harbor resentment towards Dingfeng Securities. At that point, he will most likely choose to switch to another securities company for investment. This is definitely a huge loss for Dingfeng Securities. With this in mind, Liu Jindong had to take the matter seriously. Wang Zhang, tell Mr. Chen right now that I will personally handle the matter of exchanging US dollars. However, Mr. Chen will have to wait a little while. I will get things done within 20 minutes, and it will absolutely not affect Mr. Chen's subsequent investment plans. As the general manager of Dingfeng Securities, Liu Jindong had full authority to operate in the company's back office and convert all the funds in Chen Yang's account into US dollars. At worst, he could borrow US dollars from the company and deposit them into Chen Yang's US stock investment account. Then the funds in Chen Yang's account were temporarily frozen. Settlement will be conducted the day after Chen Yang's transaction is completed. As long as Liu Jindong is willing to help, there are plenty of ways. Wang Zhang was overjoyed upon hearing Liu Jindong's reply. Immediately after hanging up the phone, he went to share the good news with Chen Yang. Chapter 24, Liu Jindong's Overtures. The U.S. stock market opens. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I just reported your situation to General Manager Liu. Given your outstanding investment performance at Dingfeng Securities, General Manager Liu intends to personally handle this matter for you. However, you'll need to wait a moment. Mr. Liu has personally promised that he will ensure all the funds in your account are converted into US dollars and deposited into your investment account before the US stock market opens. He will absolutely not interfere with your subsequent investment plans. Wang Zhang dialed Chen Yang's number. Then he said with a smile. Chen Yang was taken aback. He never expected that his simple desire to exchange some US dollars to invest in US stocks would actually alarm the general manager of Dingfeng Securities. Manager Wang, I'm sorry to have caused you and General Manager Liu trouble. Mr. Chen, you are a VIP of Dingfeng Securities. Providing you with better service and a better investment experience is our company's duty. I hope your investment plans tonight will be just as successful as they were this afternoon. Wang Zhang couldn't help but feel a sense of awe when he thought of Chen Yang's precise investments, which seemed to be guided by God's vision. If Chen Yang's investment in U.S. stocks is as miraculously successful as his Hong Kong stock trading this afternoon, his investment talent is truly 1 in a million. The favor Wang Zhang received from Chen Yang would bring him unimaginable benefits. Promotion and salary increase are just the most basic things. It's not entirely impossible that he could be promoted to a senior position in the company through Chen Yang's connections. Because a prodigy like Chen Yang is sought after not only by Wang Zhang, but also by President Liu and even the top financial investment tycoons in Shanghai. Thinking of this, Wang Zhang was extremely excited. All right, then I'll take Manager Wang's good wishes. Chen Yang was quite pleased with Wang Zhang's overly solicitous advances. This made him think of a saying, when you have nothing, even the dogs on the street won't give you a second glance. But when you achieve great success and can bring immense value to others, you will be surrounded by good people. They will provide you with the best resources and spare no expense to meet your demands, just to gain your favor so that they can ask you for help in the future. The world is bustling with activity, all for the sake of profit. The world is in turmoil, all for the sake of gain. No matter how high one's position or how wealthy one is, in the end, one cannot escape the pursuit of self-interest. Chen Yang is known as the god of investment because he has godlike control over financial stocks, futures, and various commercial investments, making him virtually invincible. Therefore, similar incidents are bound to increase in the future. Chen Yang also personally experienced how the system brought about tremendous changes to his life. This gave him more confidence to win over Yi Qingye and gain the approval of the Yi family. Less than 15 minutes, Chen Yang's phone rang again. When I picked it up, it was an unfamiliar number. Chen Yang hesitated for a moment, but still pressed the answer button. Hello, Mr. Chen. I am Liu Jindong, General Manager of Dingfeng Securities. I've expedited the process of exchanging the US dollars. You can check your US stock account now. A deep, middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the phone. Mr. Liu, please wait a moment, let me take a look. After saying that, Chen Yang opened his laptop, logged into the stock trading software with his account and password, and checked the account balance in the background. As expected, the huge sum of over 9 million yuan was all converted into 1.34 million US dollars. Mr. Liu, my account shows the funds have arrived. I'm so sorry to trouble you so late, Chen Yang said with an apologetic expression. Mr. Chen, please don't say that. It's my honor to serve such a distinguished guest as you. Liu Jindong, as the general manager of Dingfeng Securities, held a high position and wielded great power, but at this moment he dared not put on airs in front of Chen Yang. Although Chen Yang is young, his prowess in the financial market is so impressive that even Liu Jindong is ashamed of him. He knew that at Chen Yang's age, he was definitely not as outstanding as Chen Yang. With such a promising future and talent, Liu Jindong naturally wants to get closer to him and befriend him. Perhaps there will be opportunities for cooperation between the two sides in the future. Mr. Liu, you're too kind. I've got this in mind. I'll treat General Manager Liu and Manager Wang to dinner when I have time. Chen Yang replied with a smile. Okay, then I wish Mr. Chen great success in the U.S. stock market. The words were spoken. Liu Jindong wisely hung up the phone. Inside the room, once the funds were in place, Chen Yang immediately got to work. I opened my U.S. stock trading app and carefully checked the overall market dynamics. Host detected investing in U.S. stocks. God of investment activated. God-level investment and analytical abilities are materializing. Johnny Media, $8.10 per share. After the release of its film, Crazy Stone Man, the box office exploded on the first day, receiving countless positive reviews in major cinemas and forums, and countless movie fans rushed to buy tickets. As a result, Johnny Media came into the sights of investors. 10 minutes later, as the U.S. stock market opened, capital with huge sums of money bought the stock, causing Johnny Media's stock to surge to $16.50 per share. This news will quickly dominate the headlines of major media outlets, and countless crazy movie fans will rush to invest. The stock will surge again, eventually reaching a peak of $22.50 per share. Half an hour later, a financial institution saw this as an excellent short-selling opportunity and would allocate $200 million, leverage it 5 times, and have its best traders start shorting. Soon, the stock market will fluctuate, and stocks will fall all the way down to $17.80 per share. Afterwards, capital and financial institutions will engage in fierce competition, causing stock prices to fluctuate. Ultimately, capital will use massive amounts of funds to forcibly drive up stock prices and win the battle with an absolute advantage. Detailed stock price analysis is shown in the figure. This figure marks key points in Johnny Media's stock price fluctuations to help the host make better investment decisions. Just then, suddenly, the system's voice echoed in Chen Yang's mind. The next moment, a light blue virtual screen appeared in front of him, displaying a dynamic stock analysis chart. This gave Chen Yang a god-like perspective on his subsequent investments. By following the stock dynamic analysis chart, you can find the best entry and exit points and maximize your profits in the U.S. stock market. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. The U.S. stock market has started its upward trend. Chen Yang didn't dare to delay. He immediately found the stock code for Johnny Media and then used his investment account to buy it with all his funds. The operation is complete once the enter key is pressed. At this time, since capital had not yet officially entered the market, it did not cause any disturbance in the stock market. Therefore, Chen Yang's operation was executed very quickly. All the funds in his account were instantly used to purchase shares of Johnny Media, which were then converted into shareholdings. Only a few breaths had passed. Chen Yang discovered that a huge amount of funds had poured into Johnny Media. This means that capital has begun to enter the market. From that very second, the stock price was rapidly driven up. $8.10, $8.30, $8.50, $8.80, $9.50, $10.20, $13.60, $15.23. Chapter 25 is nothing short of a miracle. Assets skyrocket, earning tens of millions of US dollars. Everything went as the system predicted. After a massive influx of capital, Johnny Media's stock price began to surge, reaching nearly $16.50 per share before gradually slowing down. Because Chen Yang bought the shares in advance, the value of the shares in his account has more than doubled. That's not all. Seeing that capital was forcibly driving up stock prices, Retail investors in the market were like sharks smelling blood, eager to join the feast and get a share of the profits. As a result, funds continued to flow into Johnny Media's stock, causing the price to rise again. Half an hour passed like this. The stock price finally weakened, settling at $22.50 per share. Chen Yang seized the opportunity and immediately sold all the stocks he held, turning the proceeds back into his account. Soon, the original $1.3 million in Chen Yang's investment account nearly quadrupled, becoming more than $4 million. Before he could even finish getting excited, the thought that the stock price might experience a slight drop in the future is unsettling. Chen Yang's keyboard and mouse moved at lightning speed. In a flash, he used all the funds in his account to short sell. Just after the operation command was executed, a financial institution mobilized funds to enter the market and short sell, hoping to cut losses from capital and make a fortune. As this financial institution exerted its influence, Johnny Media's stock price declined at a visible rate. This caused panic among retail investors in the market. As a result, the market experienced violent fluctuations, and stock prices began to fall. Fortunately, the capital side discovered that someone was deliberately shorting the market, trying to snatch profits from the tiger's mouth. Enraged, capital mobilized funds and poured them out at an alarming rate. The two sides engaged in fierce competition, causing stock prices to fluctuate once again. Chen Yang, on the other hand, made a fortune easily by buying low and selling high based on the stock dynamic analysis charts provided by the system. As the stock market turmoil gradually subsided, Chen Yang sold all his stocks at a suitable price. At this moment, the funds in his account have become $12.5 million. The principal has increased nearly tenfold. It's simply a miracle. I never imagined that making money in the financial markets would become so easy with the help of the god of investment. I borrowed over 1 million yuan from my roommates this morning and made over 8 million yuan in just one afternoon. I never expected that my money would turn into tens of millions of US dollars when I traded US stocks tonight. This is faster at making money than robbing a bank. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I probably wouldn't have believed it myself. Looking at the amount displayed in his investment account, Chen Yang felt both excited and pleasantly surprised. It was already 10 p.m. Chen Yang was not sleepy at all. On the contrary, he felt extremely excited, just as he was about to press his advantage and fight his way into the U.S. stock market. There was a knock on the door. The next second, Yi Qingya's voice rang out. "Chen Yang, are you asleep?" "Not yet." Chen Yang called out towards the door. He immediately put down his work, walked to the door, and opened it. He saw Yi Qingya wearing a black lace-trimmed nightgown, revealing a pair of fair, smooth, and slender legs, standing right in front of him. "Qingya, it's so late, aren't you resting yet? Is there something you need from me?" Chen Yang's eyes were involuntarily drawn to Yi Qingya's attire and stunning figure. For a moment, I couldn't help but take a few more glances. However, he still maintained a sliver of rationality, constantly watching Yi Qingya's expression, afraid that his actions would offend her. Yi Qingya saw everything Chen Yang did. Seeing his cautious manner, she couldn't help but laugh. "Chen Yang, Menjiao, and I couldn't sleep, so we came out of the room to get some fresh air. I saw you hiding in your room all by yourself, so I wanted to chat with you. What are you doing in your room? I hope I'm not bothering you." Yi Qingya smiled gently and explained. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang quickly shook his head. "Won't it? I was just bored, so I took a look at the U.S. stock market and made an investment. So far, the returns have been very good." Yi Qingya's eyelashes trembled slightly, and her bright eyes sparkled. She hadn't expected Chen Yang to work so hard. It's so late at night, and they're still working in their rooms. When the domestic stock market was closed, he would trade U.S. stocks, making the most of every minute. It seems he's under immense pressure. Otherwise, he wouldn't be working so hard. For a moment, Yi Qingya couldn't help but feel sorry for Chen Yang. "Chen Yang, I know you're under pressure, but you can't push yourself too hard. You need to remember to balance work and rest. Otherwise, my body will break down sooner or later." Seeing that Yi Qingya cared about him, Chen Yang felt a warmth in his heart. So he smiled slightly and said, "Qingya, it's all right. I'm so young it's the age for me to strive. The sooner you accumulate capital, the sooner you can achieve something, ensuring your and your child's future life and allowing your family to better accept my identity." Just then, Su Menjiao also came over. She was wearing a very conservative red nightgown and holding a peeled apple in her hand, eating it as she ate. After a long pause, he chuckled and said, "Qingya, Chen Yang's attitude is absolutely commendable. You can't dampen his enthusiasm. As you know, Chen Yang has an extraordinary talent for financial investment. The sooner he achieves something, the greater the chances of you two getting together. Isn't this a good thing? After listening, Yi Qingye felt that there was some truth to it. She gave an awkward smile and said, Chen Yang, you can continue with your work. Yao Yao and I won't bother you any longer. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Qingye then took Su Menjiao's arm and strode into her room. Watching Yi Qingye's retreating figure, Chen Yang grinned, feeling incredibly happy. Qingye, don't worry. I will soon prove to you that I, Chen Yang, am absolutely the best match for you. No man but me can even think about making a move on you. This moment, Chen Yang's confidence swelled like never before. The U.S. stock market continues to rise. A financial battle has come to an end, but that doesn't mean it's over. Hundreds of billions of dollars are traded on the U.S. stock market every day. Hundreds of millionaires may be created in the next minute, while hundreds of people may lose everything. The stock market is essentially a zero-sum game. You either make a profit or you lose a profit. Without sufficient skills, it's impossible to make big money with just enthusiasm, even if you're lucky and step in dog poop and make a fortune. But as long as you're still involved, you'll eventually lose all the money you've won. In the end, they even lost everything, going bankrupt and losing all their capital. Such examples are countless in the stock market. However, there is one exception. They possess a solid theoretical foundation, top-notch analytical skills, and accurate judgment on stock market fluctuations. Every investment can predict stock market movements, seek advantage, and avoid harm. Ultimately, he made a fortune in the stock market thanks to his exceptional skills. These top talents are sought after by major financial companies. Some investors might even invite him to become their chief trader, creating a customized investment team just to help him succeed in the stock market. Chen Yang, on the other hand, possesses a system cheat. His investment skills far surpass those of such people. Calling him a stock market guru wouldn't be an exaggeration. Chapter 26. Ray entering the U.S. stock market, making breakfast for Yi Qingye. That night, the U.S. stock market is experiencing volatile fluctuations. Countless capital and financial institutions, for their own benefit, have mobilized massive amounts of funds in an attempt to make huge profits from the stock market. A series of financial wars, fought without the smoke of gunpowder, are raging fiercely. Chen Yang has tens of millions of U.S. dollars in his hands, but he is not in a hurry to invest. He carefully examined the U.S. stock market and analyzed the data of each stock, hoping to find a high-quality stock worth investing in. Host detected investing in U.S. stocks. God of investment, activated. God-level investment and analytical abilities are materializing. Sena Technology, stock code XXXXX, invested heavily in assembling a research team and spent 2 years developing holographic imaging and thermal projection technologies, bringing cutting-edge technology to the technology and film industries. After the news breaks tomorrow morning, the stock price will surge from $10.10 to $25.20, a full 1.5 times increase. Later, with the influx of capital, the stock price will continue to rise and eventually settle at $35.10. I suggest the host make an investment immediately. Soon, the system notification sounded in Chen Yang's mind again. I'm really lucky. I actually found a high-quality stock with huge investment value. Trusting the system, Chen Yang did not hesitate at all. He set aside $1 million in his account and then invested the rest in Sena Technology stock. After doing all that, he turned off the computer and went straight to sleep. Chen Yang slept until 7 o'clock the next morning. I opened my eyes and woke up. Chen Yang immediately got out of bed, turned on his computer and checked his investment account. Seeing the large sum of money in his account, and confirming that he wasn't dreaming, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, Chen Yang got dressed and went to the bathroom to wash up. After that, he went into the kitchen, intending to make a nutritious porridge for Yi Qingye himself. He took out a piece of lean meat, shiitake mushrooms, shrimp, vegetables, ginger, and scallions from the refrigerator, and rinsed all the ingredients clean before using them. Then, picking up a kitchen knife, she skillfully sliced the lean meat into paper-thin slices. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 100, cooking proficiency plus 100. In an instant, an inexplicable memory surged through Chen Yang's body, which greatly improved his cooking skills and knife skills. At the same time, inside Yi Qingye's boudoir, the room has excellent natural light and a warm color scheme, making it look very cozy. Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao were sleeping together, their postures elegant, delicate features paired with fair and smooth skin. Even without makeup, she is still stunning. They lay on the bed, their full breasts round and firm, almost bursting out, too large to be grasped in one hand. She was stunningly beautiful, with a fairy-like appearance and an E-T-H-E-R-E-A-L Chinese letter. It seems that only these words can describe Yi Qingye's beauty. Su Menjiao's looks, figure, and temperament are actually quite good. However, compared to Yi Qingye, she is still slightly inferior. After a long time, Su Menjiao's eyelashes trembled slightly, clearly showing signs of waking up. She rubbed her eyes, then got up and looked around the room. Seeing that Yi Qingye was still fast asleep, he tickled her waist with a mischievous grin. Ugh! Yi Qingye was instantly awakened. Seeing that Su Menjiao was being mischievous and teasing her, she couldn't help but feel relieved. Then with a look of dissatisfaction, she angrily said to Su Menjiao, "Su Meng Yao, you're up to no good first thing in the morning. Looks like I've been too good to you, which is why you've taken advantage of me like this. Since that's the case, then don't blame me for being impolite. That's all." Before Su Menjiao could react, Yi Qingye pounced on her and pinned her to the bed, then tickled her armpits. This is the move that Su Menjiao fears the most. For a moment, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. As the two were playfully fighting, their clothes gradually came undone, becoming increasingly revealing. Fortunately, Chen Yang didn't see it. Otherwise, he would definitely have been captivated by such a spring scene. In the end, the battle ended with Su Menjiao begging for mercy. After Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao changed their clothes, they came to the living room and immediately noticed an enticing fragrance in the air, which made them very hungry. "Qingye, can you smell a fragrance? This smells like someone is cooking porridge. There's seafood in it too. It smells so good it makes my mouth water." Su Menjiao sniffed the air intensely. For a moment, a look of surprise appeared on her face. "I can smell it too. I guess Chen Yang is making breakfast in the kitchen. Yesterday, I signed a cohabitation agreement with him, which stipulates that during the cohabitation period, he will be responsible for my 3 meals a day. Only someone with his superb culinary skills could make such fragrant porridge." Yi Qingye nodded. As he spoke, his gaze unconsciously drifted toward the kitchen doorway. "Qingye, let's quickly wash up, and then go see what delicious food Chen Yang has made for us." Su Menjiao took Yi Qingye's hand and quickly went into the bathroom. After washing up and taking care of their skin, the two immediately went to the kitchen door. Seeing Chen Yang busy at the stove, Yi Qingye felt a surge of warmth in her heart. It seems that having a boyfriend who is a great cook and can make her breakfast every morning is a wonderful thing. "Chen Yang, you're up so early. What delicious food did you make for Qingye?" Su Menjiao spoke first. "I made a simple shrimp, mushroom, and lean pork congee using ingredients from the refrigerator. It'll be ready soon. You two go sit in the living room and wait for a while." Chen Yang turned his head. Seeing Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao without makeup, their bare faces, I couldn't help but feel a little surprised and amazed. In particular, they were wearing casual home clothes. Like a fairy from heaven who has descended to earth, she is more down to earth. Chen Yang was stunned for a moment. His almost obsessive look was naturally noticed by Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao. Su Menjiao's smile grew even brighter. She nudged Yi Qingye with her elbow, her eyes seeming to say, "Look, sister, how charming you are. To win over Chen Yang, all you need to do is use your charm a little, and he will fall head over heels for you." Yi Qingye's pretty face flushed slightly, and she looked a little shy. At that moment, her heart was pounding wildly, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't calm down. This is probably what it feels like to have your heart flutter. Cough, cough. Su Menjiao cleared her throat. He looked at Chen Yang with a smile and asked softly, "Chen Yang, don't we look especially beautiful without makeup?" Chen Yang nodded subconsciously. Beautiful as a fairy. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye's pretty face was as red as a tomato. She immediately lowered her head, not daring to look Chen Yang in the eye. "I wish I could find a crack in the ground and crawl into it." This morning, the conversation between Su Menjiao and Chen Yang made Yi Qingye feel extremely embarrassed. If she could, she would turn around and leave right now. Chapter 27, Shrimp, Mushroom, and Lean Pork Congee. Once again amazing Yi Qingye's taste buds. "Chen Yang, you should know that our Qingye is known as the most beautiful campus belle in the century-old history of Shanghai University. The men who like her could line up from your school dormitory to the East Gate. If you want to win her over and make her truly fall in love with you, then you'd better be prepared to suffer." Su Menjiao had a mischievous grin on her face. She and Yikinya were not only classmates in junior and senior high school, but they were also always deskmates. That's why, besides Yikinya's parents, her best friend Su Menjiao understands her best. Yikinya has a gentle and kind personality. Despite her distinguished family background, she was not spoiled in the slightest. She loves dancing, piano, and painting. She has a wide range of interests and is the dream girl of countless boys. From junior high to high school, she received countless love letters, snacks, and various exquisite and expensive gifts every day without fail. There were even frequent school-wide confession ceremonies. Among these suitors were high-achieving students with excellent academic performance, key players on the school basketball team, handsome campus heartthrobs who had been selected as campus heartthrobs for several consecutive years, and wealthy young men from prominent families. But without exception, their pursuits all ended in failure. The reason for this is not that Yikinya is arrogant. Instead, they are very conservative and cautious when it comes to love. She would never rush into a relationship until she met a man who moved her or whom she was willing to throw herself into. But fate played a cruel joke on Yikinya. A hangover brought Yikinya and Chen Yang, two people who had no connection whatsoever, together by fate. Most importantly, it also got Yikinya pregnant. Therefore, this is a destiny arranged by God for Yikinya and Chen Yang. But this doesn't mean that Yikinya agreed to let Chen Yang become her boyfriend. The revolution has not yet succeeded. There is still a long way to go before Chen Yang gains Yikinya's approval. Chen Yang was mentally prepared for this. I know all of that. However, I am confident that I can make Kinya fall in love with me and become my real girlfriend. Chen Yang raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a confident smile. Go for it, I believe in you. After all, your superb culinary skills are enough to win over both my and Kinya's palates. I sincerely hope that you can become Kinya's boyfriend. That way, I can legitimately come here to freeload meals. Su Menjiao wanted to be able to enjoy delicious meals prepared by Chen Yang anytime in the future. Without hesitation, she betrayed her best friend of many years. Seeing this scene, Yikinya was absolutely furious. Immediately, he angrily shouted at Su Menjiao. Yiao, if you keep talking nonsense, believe me, I'll tear your mouth apart. From now on, I will never let you set foot in my house again. Seeing that her best friend seemed genuinely angry, Su Menjiao awkwardly touched her nose and dared not say anything more. Looking at the scene before him, Chen Yang found it very amusing, and a smile unconsciously crept onto his lips. Simmer over low heat. A few minutes later, the shrimp, mushroom, and lean pork congee was ready. Chen Yang wrapped the casserole in a cloth and carried it to the dining table in the living room. As soon as the lid was lifted, a cloud of white steam billowed into the air, releasing an irresistible aroma that made one's mouth water. Chen Yang brought over a bowl, chopsticks, and a soup spoon, then ladled out a bowlful, gently fanned it with his small hand, and handed it to Yikinya at the dining table. Kinya, you should try it and see how it tastes. Yikinya blushed slightly, smiled, and nodded. Under Chen Yang's expectant gaze, she picked up the soup spoon next to her, scooped up a spoonful of porridge, and ate it. The rice porridge was thick, and the broth had a flavor of fresh shrimp and mushrooms. There's also lean meat chopped into fine pieces, which when chewed, bursts with an unprecedented texture. These are all ordinary ingredients, but under Chen Yang's superb culinary skills, they have become just as delicious as those rare delicacies. It's so delicious that it's hard to describe in words. Only by tasting this porridge yourself will you know that there is such a delicious shrimp, mushroom, and lean pork porridge in the world. Delicious, so delicious. The flavors of fresh shrimp and mushrooms blend perfectly together, creating a fresh, fragrant, and refreshing taste. Chen Yang, your cooking skills are absolutely amazing. Yiao is right. It's such a waste that you don't open a restaurant and become a chef with such culinary skills. Yikinya's eyes lit up, and her expression instantly became excited. Then she looked at Chen Yang with an even more incredulous expression. If she hadn't tasted Chen Yang's porridge herself, she wouldn't have believed that someone could make porridge so delicious. It was so delicious that even the taste buds on my tongue seemed to dance with excitement. Yikinya had never experienced this feeling before. On the side, Su Menjiao couldn't wait any longer, so she ladled herself a bowl of porridge and started eating. The rice porridge, coated with fresh shrimp, exploded in Su Menjiao's mouth with its fresh, fragrant, and smooth taste. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she exclaimed, "How can this porridge be so delicious? It tastes so much better than the porridge cooked by chefs in those five-star hotels. Chen Yang, your culinary talent is amazing. Are you sure you haven't studied under some master chef? Su Menjiao couldn't understand. How did Chen Yang, at such a young age, manage to master such superb culinary skills? No, not at all. I just find some videos online and learned to do them on my own. Chen Yang smiled awkwardly, naturally not revealing that he possessed a system. He could only come up with a random excuse to explain. Exceptionally gifted, absolutely exceptionally gifted. There are so many people learning to cook, but there are very few who can reach this level of culinary skill. Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao's face was filled with shock. The next moment, she grabbed Yi Qingya's arm, her eyes filled with endless envy. Qingya, you've really struck gold. With Chen Yang around, you'll be able to enjoy gourmet meals from star chefs every day. Just thinking about it makes me envious. Yi Qingya blushed. Yu Guang secretly glanced at Chen Yang. Seeing his calm expression, I breathed a slight sigh of relief. Then she glared at Su Menjiao with a hint of annoyance and said coquettishly, Yi Ayo, if you dare to say anything out of line again, I promise you'll never get to eat a meal cooked by Chen Yang again. These words were spoken. Su Menjiao was so frightened that she immediately covered her mouth. Having tasted Chen Yang's excellent cooking, she might find it difficult to stomach other foods. Therefore, she could temporarily endure it for the sake of her own enjoyment of food. Once Chen Yang and Yi Qingya were completely together, at that time would Su Menjiao still have a chance to get revenge. A large pot of porridge. In the end, Chen Yang and his two companions swept everything away. Chen Yang also secretly decided that he must spend more time improving his cooking skills to the highest level. At that time, with his superb culinary skills alone, he might easily win the heart of Yi Qingya, the aloof and beautiful school goddess. Chapter 28 invites Yi Qingya out shopping, Zhuoyu Auto Dealership. Su Menjiao had something to do at school, so she said goodbye to Yi Qingya and left the rented room. Inside the room, only Chen Yang and Yi Qingya remained, sitting on the sofa. Qingya, are you free this morning? Chen Yang's gaze fell on Yi Qingya, and he asked, Yes, what do you want to do? Yi Qingya is a senior student in the Department of Foreign Languages at Shanghai University. She has already completed all her coursework and earned all her credits at school. At this stage, all she needs to do is finish her thesis and defense, and then she can wait to complete her internship and receive her graduation certificate. Therefore, Yi Qingya no longer needed to go to school, and she had more free time. Although she is currently pregnant, the fetus is only 2 months along, and her belly is not noticeably swollen, which does not affect her mobility at all. However, we need to pay more attention to our diet. Upon hearing Chen Yang extend an invitation, Yi Qingya felt inexplicably nervous. I'd like to take you out for a walk, is that all right? A smile appeared on Chen Yang's lips as he looked at Yi Qingya expectantly. After all, this was the first time he had formally invited Yi Qingya on a date. He wasn't sure if Yi Qingya would agree. Seeing Chen Yang's nervous expression, Yi Qingya realized that he wanted to go on a date with her. Prior to this, Yi Qingya had never gone out alone with a man. Therefore, she inevitably appeared somewhat reserved. However, when Yi Qingya thought about what her best friend Su Menjiao had said to her, she made up her mind to spend more time alone with Chen Yang and get to know him better. Right now, this is undoubtedly a good opportunity. Yi Qingya hesitated for a few seconds, then nodded in agreement under Chen Yang's gaze. Sure, I'm pretty bored staying at home by myself anyway. It'll be nice to go out for some fresh air. Before long, the two went straight out. Chen Yang hailed a taxi at the entrance of the residential area, gave the driver the address of a 4S store, and the car headed towards its destination. The reason why the first stop was the 4S store was because Chen Yang felt that having a car would make travel more convenient. Furthermore, with Chen Yang's current wealth, buying a car is no problem at all. This is a standard feature of successful people. This is also the best way to prove that he was accomplished at a young age and achieved great success. 20 minutes later, the taxi stopped in front of a store called Excellence Auto Dealership. After Chen Yang and Yi Qingya got out of the car and paid the fare, they strode inside. Zhuoyu Auto is a well-known 4S store in Pudong District, covering an area of over 2,000 square meters. In this prime location where every inch of land is precious, the annual rent for this space alone is a considerable sum, demonstrating the immense wealth of the owner behind it. At this moment, the lobby on the first floor is filled with cars of various mid to high-end brands. There are business models, coupe models, and SUV models available. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, Maybach, Range Rover. The cars range in value from hundreds of thousands to millions, with all kinds available. Chen Yang, why did you bring me here? Are you planning to buy a car? Yi Qingye followed Chen Yang. Seeing that he had brought her to the car dealership, she couldn't help but feel curious. Yes, I'm thinking of buying a car. It will make things much more convenient for us, whether we're going out shopping, grocery shopping, or taking you to the hospital for a checkup. Chen Yang nodded to Yi Qingye. His roommates all come from wealthy families and have their own cars when they go out. To be honest, Chen Yang was quite envious. But there was nothing he could do. His family was of modest means, and his parents simply couldn't provide him with a comfortable material life. Therefore, everything he has to be earned through his own hard work. But now, he activated the super all-powerful system, and with its help, he earned the title of God of Investment. This allowed him to make tens of millions of dollars in the stock market in just one day. Become rich overnight. Therefore, he now has sufficient financial resources to meet his needs. The reason I invited Yi Qingye along was, firstly, Chen Yang wanted to get her opinion, since he didn't know much about cars. Secondly, Chen Yang wanted to give the car to Yi Qingye as a gift. Of course, Yi Qingye was unaware of this. The two entered the hall and glanced around. Not far away, a sweet-looking and perceptive saleswoman jogged over, a warm smile on her face, and said, "Sir, madam, welcome to our Excellence Auto dealership. I'm Liu Jai from sales. Do you two have an appointment?" Chen Yang shook his head and replied with a smile, "No. I only decided to come and buy a car on a whim." Upon hearing this, Liu Jai's smile grew even brighter, because it means she has the opportunity to serve these two guests. Although Chen Yang was dressed plainly, he was composed and had an extraordinary air about him. Yi Qingye was different. All her clothes were designer brands, each costing thousands or tens of thousands of yuan. The key is that she is very beautiful and has an outstanding temperament. One look, and you know he's not a child raised in an ordinary family. Therefore, Liu Jai did not question Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's economic strength just because they were young. "Sir, if you don't mind, then I'll take care of you from now on. Is that all right?" With a professional smile, Liu Jai volunteered to Chen Yang. "Okay." Chen Yang nodded calmly. Then he looked at Yi Qingye with gentle eyes and asked softly, "Qingye, what brand of car do you like?" Yi Qingye was clearly taken aback. She didn't understand why Chen Yang would ask for her opinion, when it was clearly Chen Yang who was buying the car. "I don't understand it, but she does know a little about car brands. After all, her uncle and aunt's family owns quite a few cars. I prefer Mercedes-Benz. Whether it's the exterior, interior, ambient lighting, or various details, everything is done exceptionally well. Paired with the Burmester sound system, it instantly enhances the experience for both the driver and passenger. Of course, this is just my personal preference," Yi Qingye said slowly. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang nodded and then said to Liu Jai, "Miss Liu, could you please take us to see the Mercedes-Benz series of cars?" Liu Jai looked delighted. "Okay, no problem." The scene changes. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye were then led to the Mercedes-Benz sales area. Liu Jai pointed to a silver-gray sports car and enthusiastically introduced it. "Sir, madam, this Mercedes-Benz C-Class sedan is the latest model from Mercedes-Benz this year, priced between 300,000 and 350,000 yuan. Gentlemen, please get inside the car and enjoy the experience. Or if you want to test drive it, I can arrange it immediately." Chen Yang shook his head and refused without the slightest hesitation. "This one won't do, the price is too low. Miss Liu, I remember the most high-end car in the Mercedes-Benz series is called Maybach, isn't it?" Liu Jai was shocked, and a look of astonishment immediately appeared on her face. However, her excellent professionalism allowed her to quickly react, and she replied in an extremely respectful tone. "Yes, that's right. Maybach is a Mercedes-Benz S-Class model, and the starting price is at least 1 million. Sir, are you sure you want to buy a Maybach?" Chapter 29 Mercedes-Benz S-Class Sedan, Mercedes-Maybach. It's also a Mercedes-Benz. However, the Mercedes-Benz C-Class and the Mercedes-Benz S-Class are two completely different concepts. Some people, in order to show off and impress others, grit their teeth and take out a loan to buy a Mercedes-Benz entry-level model worth 200,000 or 300,000 yuan, and they drive Mercedes-Benz. Some people buy luxury cars like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, which cost over 1 million yuan, and those with high-end configurations can cost millions. The Maybach is the top-of-the-line version of the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It is no longer a simple means of transportation, but a symbol of status and prestige. People who own Maybachs are either big bosses of companies, senior executives of corporations, or children of wealthy families. Without exception, These people are all prominent figures in society with influence, resources, and connections. Even if an ordinary person spends their entire life trying, they may not be able to possess it. After all, someone who can afford a Maybach must be worth over 1 million, or even tens of millions. Luxury cars of this caliber are either something you're born into a family with, or something you have to endure many hardships and tribulations to be qualified to own after achieving success and fame. For ordinary people, this is a top-tier luxury car that is both impressive and unattainable. Therefore, Liu Jai was quite shocked when she heard that Chen Yang wanted to buy a Mercedes Maybach. "What, you think I can't afford it?" Chen Yang's expression was indifferent as he glanced at Liu Jai. Liu Jai realized that she had said the wrong thing and quickly apologized. "Sir, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. Please don't take it to heart. I will now take you and your girlfriend to the Maybach section." Not long after, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye were then taken to another area by Liu Jai. It's obvious that there are far fewer people here, and the surroundings look much quieter. With a starting price of over 1 million, the number of customers who can afford a Maybach is obviously very small. When Chen Yang and Yi Qingye, this handsome couple, appeared, they immediately attracted the attention of those around them. Fortunately, these people just looked over and didn't try to strike up a conversation. Liu Jai took a deep breath and walked up to a black Maybach S680. After guiding Chen Yang and Yi Qingye into the car, she began to give a comprehensive explanation. "Sir, madam, this Mercedes Maybach S680 is the best-selling mainstream model this year. It is 5.47 meters long, 1.92 meters wide, and 1.51 meters high. It is equipped with a 6T 612 horsepower engine, with a maximum power of 450, 612 PS. kW the top speed is 250 km/h. The 0-100 km/h acceleration time is 4.6 seconds, and the fuel consumption is 13.2 L per 100 kilometers. Equipped with all-around vehicle radar, 360 degrees panoramic imaging, full-speed adaptive cruise control system, and automatic parking function. It also features a segmented panoramic sunroof. The interior is even more luxurious, featuring the top-of-the-line Mercedes-Benz model, with heated seats, a smart central control system. It took about 7 or 8 minutes to finish. Chen Yongkai then gained a clear understanding of Mercedes Maybach. The system detected that the host was preparing to buy a car. After the salesperson's explanation, the host gained a deeper understanding of the car's condition. Host's basic automotive knowledge plus 1000. Automotive encyclopedia upgraded to beginner level. The next second, Chen Yang suddenly felt a swelling sensation in his head. A torrent of automotive knowledge flooded into his brain and was eventually digested and absorbed. In a fleeting moment, Chen Yang went from being a complete novice when it came to cars to becoming an amateur car enthusiast. Having a system is great. You can learn anything so quickly. Chen Yang was secretly delighted. He then placed his hands on the steering wheel, manipulated the central control screen, and touched the leather seats. The feel of this seat is definitely not something that can be compared to the seats in ordinary low-end cars. After a long pause, Chen Yang turned to Liu Jai and asked, "How much did this car cost?" Seeing Chen Yang's serious expression and the strong desire to buy in his eyes, Liu Jai was secretly excited. He immediately replied, "Sir, the official price of this Maybach is 2.98 million, but our store is currently running a promotion, so if you are sure you want to buy it, you can enjoy a 2% discount. At the same time, our store will also give away UV protective glass, the first year's car insurance premium, and a luxury car gift package." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang did not rush to make a decision to buy it. Instead, he immediately looked at Yi Qingye and asked her, "Qingye, do you like this Maybach?" Yi Qingye was stunned for a moment before nodding. This Maybach is a Mercedes-Benz S-Class sedan, which can be considered the high-end brand of the Mercedes-Benz series. "I think no one would dislike such a high-end luxury car." After hearing this, Chen Yang smiled and said, "Since you like it, I'll give you one." Recalling that night with Yi Qingye at the hotel, Chen Yang still felt a pang of guilt. He had been trying to find a chance to make amends, but Yi Qingye kept avoiding him. Now the two have finally reunited. Chen Yang achieved financial freedom through the stock market, so he wanted to treat Yi Qingye well in his own way. It's just a Mercedes Maybach. A few million is nothing to Chen Yang's current wealth. As long as Yi Qingye likes it, Chen Yang would buy it without hesitation. Not just one, but even 10. Give me one." "Chen Yang, you're not kidding, are you?" Yi Qingye was very surprised by Chen Yang's actions, her face filled with shock. Of course not. Kingya, this is the first gift I've given you since we met. I hope you like it. Chen Yang's lips curled up slightly. That handsome face seemed even more dashing in Yi Qingya's eyes at this moment. To be honest, Yi Qingya never expected Chen Yang to be so generous. After all, this is a Mercedes Maybach, the standard equipment for every successful person. Luxury cars that ordinary people dream of. But Chen Yang simply gave it away without hesitation. Even though Yi Qingya knew that Chen Yang had made nearly 10 million yuan from the stock market just yesterday. But then he turned around and spent millions just to buy a Mercedes he liked, to please himself. Such a gesture deeply moved Yi Qingya. Although Yi Qingya is never short of suitors, and those people are very generous. The gifts included valuable jewelry and a women's watch. But no matter who it is, no one is as generous as Chen Yang. You need to know, Chen Yang's family was not well off to begin with. He earned all this money through painstaking effort. He didn't immediately use the money to improve his life or buy himself a new outfit. Instead, they chose to buy gifts for themselves. This action alone is enough to prove that Yi Qingya occupies an extremely important place in Chen Yang's heart. I've figured that out. Yi Qingya's gaze towards Chen Yang became complicated. Moved, confused, heartbroken. A mix of emotions swirled together. I like Chen Yang very much. However, this gift is far too valuable. I cannot accept it. Although, Yi Qingya has gradually come to accept Chen Yang as her future man. However, she still retained a sliver of rationality. With her family's wealth, they have no shortage of Maybachs, which are the dream of most people. Chen Yang expressed his love in his own way, which was certainly something Yi Qingya was happy about. However, this does not mean that Yi Qingya can accept Chen Yang's gift with a clear conscience. No reward without merit. Yi Qingya understood this principle. Chapter 30. The first gift he gave away a Maybach S680 worth 3 million in cash. Chen Yang was taken aback by Yi Qingya's polite refusal. He never expected that his first gift would be rejected by Yi Qingya. Certainly, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, this shows that Yi Qingya doesn't value money very much. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been willing to come to Chen Yang and try to give him a chance after learning about his background. Qingya, don't be in such a hurry to refuse. First of all, I am very grateful to you for giving me the opportunity to pursue you when I was penniless. Originally, we should have had no connection whatsoever. But fate, by some twist of fate, arranged for us to meet. If it weren't for this incident, I don't think I would have taken such a gamble and made my first fortune in the stock market. Therefore, I believe that half of my metal belongs to you. This Maybach S680 is the first gift I've given you. I hope it's more than just a gift. It also symbolizes that our love will blossom and bear fruit. And my career will continue to grow under the witness of Maybach, until I truly become your and the children's support. Chen Yang had taken Yi Qingya's fair and smooth hands without her even realizing it. The look in his eyes when he looked down at her was more sincere than ever before. Deep within his eyes, an endless tenderness was revealed. Although he had only known Yi Qingya for a day, Chen Yang was already deeply attracted by the charm she exuded. He secretly vowed to make Yi Qingya fall in love with him and become her legal husband, then make her the happiest woman in the world. After hearing Chen Yang's words, Yi Qingya couldn't help but feel a flutter in her heart. She probably didn't even realize that a certain action she took would bring about a dramatic change in Chen Yang's life trajectory. Fortunately, everything is moving in a positive direction. Now, Yi Qingya gradually realized that Chen Yang had truly fallen in love with her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to such lengths for himself. Suddenly, Yi Qingya seemed to hear the words her best friend Su Menjiao had said. If she doesn't cherish such a wonderful boy, other women will surely covet him. Chen Yang, since this S680 is a token of your appreciation, I will accept it without hesitation. The car can be registered in my name, but the right to use it still belongs to you. After all, I'm not a very skilled driver. Yi Qingya hesitated for a moment. In the end, she chose to accept Chen Yang's gift, because he didn't want to disappoint Chen Yang's kindness, and he didn't want to see his sad and upset expression. Okay, whatever you say. When Chen Yang saw Yi Qingya agree, a smile immediately appeared on his lips. Then his gaze fell on Liu Jai, the saleswoman. Miss Liu, I'll take this Maybach S680. When we're doing the paperwork, we'll put the car in my girlfriend's name. Also, we'll be driving the car away soon. Is everything all right? Upon hearing this, Liu Jai's pupils widened in surprise. She has worked at this car dealership for several years and has served many customers, including young couples like Chen Yang and Yi Qingya. but this is the first time I've ever encountered such a fast process from looking at cars to deciding to buy one. What she envied and resented the most was that Chen Yang actually gave his girlfriend this Maybach S680, worth 3 million yuan. This is a Maybach worth 3 million, hailed as the standard for successful people. This isn't the kind of seafood that costs 300 yuan at the seafood market. It was sent out so easily. Isn't he afraid that if they break up in the end, he won't be able to get the car back? Of course, on the other hand, being able to afford this Maybach S680 worth 3 million is enough to prove that this handsome young man comes from an extraordinary family. If she were even slightly smart, this woman wouldn't be foolish enough to break up with him. After all, whether it's owning a mere Maybach or marrying into a wealthy family and becoming a socialite, everyone can understand which is more important. Liu Jai was unaware of this. In reality, however, Chen Yang was just a poor, powerless young man. Yi Qingye is not only the most beautiful campus belle of Shanghai University in the past century, but also the apple of the eye of the powerful Yi family in Kyoto. If it were just a Maybach S680, it would be enough to win Yi Qingye's heart. Those second-generation, rich kids and top industry elites wouldn't even blink an eye if it cost 10 times more. No problem, of course there's no problem. Liu Jai responded decisively. These days, money talks. As long as the money is in place, all procedures can be expedited. Chen Yang can do whatever he wants. Sir, how do you intend to pay? Cash or card? Do you need our dealership to help you apply for a loan? Liu Jai suppressed her excitement and looked at Chen Yang with a smile. Chen Yang shook his head slightly, refusing Liu Jai's suggestion to apply for a loan. Yesterday, when he invested in U.S. stocks with his account, he specifically set aside $1 million, taking into account that he would need to use it in the next few days. He also converted this million US dollars into RMB through Dingfeng Securities. A whopping 7 million. Paying 3 million is more than enough. He personally dislikes loans and doesn't want to pay extra interest. Swipe the card. No need for a loan, the balance in my card is enough to pay for a Maybach. After saying that, Chen Yang then took a black leather wallet out of his pocket. This is the wallet he bought for 30 yuan at a night market stall when he was a freshman in college, and he has been using it ever since. He took out an ordinary ICBC bank card from his wallet and handed it to Liu Jai. Liu Jai took the items with both hands and then led Chen Yang and Yi Qingye to the sofa. Then he personally brewed a pot of tea and brought over some tea and snacks. Sir, madam, please sit on the sofa and rest for a while and have a cup of tea and some snacks. I'll bring the car purchase contract and related documents over right now, and we can complete the formalities in a bit. At the same time, I will ask my colleague to help me do a basic inspection and cleaning of your new car. If things go smoothly, all the procedures can be completed within an hour. At that time, you will be able to drive the new car away directly. Chen Yang was very satisfied with Liu Jai's attitude and efficiency. He nodded as quickly as possible. Liu Jai bowed respectfully and said, "Okay, no problem." After she left, Chen Yang held Yi Qingye's hand and sat on the sofa, sipping coffee and eating snacks with a relaxed expression. After a while, Yi Qingye's gaze fell on Chen Yang, and she said with concern, "Chen Yang, although you have earned your first pot of gold through the stock market, but we still need to be more restrained when it comes to spending money. After all, the financial and stock markets are too risky, and there are no permanent winners. You may make a fortune today, but you could lose everything tomorrow. Therefore, when you are in a position of power, you should make good use of your funds, purchase more assets, and reduce risks." Chapter 31. Congratulations to you, both on becoming owners of the prestigious Mercedes Maybach S680. The reason why wealthy people remain wealthy is that they know how to use money-making strategies to rationally allocate their assets. Invest some of your spare money to make money work for you. A portion is used to purchase fixed assets to reasonably hedge against inflation. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Only in this way can one's wealth continue to grow. With a bit of luck, a good investment project can multiply your assets several times over, allowing you to achieve complete financial freedom. Yi Qingye comes from a wealthy family, and many of her uncles and aunts are business people. Growing up in such a family environment, her vision and thinking are much more mature than her peers. The reason for kindly reminding Chen Yang was to prevent him from suddenly becoming rich despite being poor. Having finally made some money from the stock market, they started spending it extravagantly. Finally, a mishap in investing can easily plunge you into a low point in your life. Early success and fame can make one arrogant and conceited. Once you stumble and fall, it's easy to lose your spirit and become discouraged. This is what Yi Qingye is most worried about. However, Yi Qingye was unaware that her worries were completely unnecessary for Chen Yang. You have to understand, Chen Yang is a man with extraordinary abilities. His wealth is destined to only increase in the future. Failure, bankruptcy, these words have absolutely nothing to do with him. Chen Yang could sense that Yi Qingye wasn't blaming him for spending money recklessly, but rather worried about his future investments. She worried that if something went wrong, he wouldn't have the money to start over. That's why I reminded him to manage his cash flow properly. Qingye, I understand what you mean. However, I am confident that I can earn more wealth and give you a better life. Chen Yang smiled calmly, his words brimming with confidence. Seeing that Chen Yang looked serious and didn't seem to be joking, Yi Qingye smiled and nodded. Chen Yang, I believe in you. You can definitely do it. Chen Yang was able to earn over 8 million yuan in the stock market in just one day. This alone is enough to prove how outstanding his investment talent is. Therefore, Yi Qingye had no doubt what Chen Yang said. The two were chatting. Liu Jai is busy processing the car purchase paperwork. An hour passed in the blink of an eye. Soon, Liu Jai appeared before Chen Yang and Yi Qingye with the car purchase contract stamped with the company seal, the car keys, and the vehicle ownership certificate. Sir, Madam, all the car purchase paperwork has been completed. From this moment on, this Maybach S680 officially belongs to you. Our company has prepared a special handover ceremony. Please move over to the car. Liu Jai spoke respectfully to Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. Chen Yang took Yi Qingye's hand and led her to the Maybach S680. Staff members presented a bouquet of flowers and then stood on both sides, taking out the ceremonial cannons that had been prepared in advance. Exquisite luxury with respect for etiquette. Congratulations to you both on becoming distinguished owners of the Mercedes Maybach S680. May the three-pointed star illuminate your career and future. The words were spoken. Thud, thud, thud. A salute was fired. Countless colorful ribbons floated in the air and slowly fell, creating a very festive scene. The car handover ceremony was full of emotional value. From this moment on, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye officially became the distinguished owners of the Mercedes Maybach. Wow, are young people these days so rich? Buying a Mercedes is one thing, but a Maybach S680 worth nearly 3 million is another. This couple was handsome and beautiful and looked like college students who hadn't graduated yet. At first, I thought they were just browsing the car dealership, but who knew they would quietly buy a Maybach S680 outright? You wouldn't dare to spend like that unless you're rich. Look at their demeanor. They're clearly not ordinary people. What Shanghai has no shortage of is the second generation of wealthy families. A Maybach that others can't afford, even if they work their whole lives, is just a means of transportation for these young masters and ladies. I'm so envious. He's handsome, rich, and his girlfriend is so beautiful. What kind of chosen one is this guy? Others' lives are dreams. I feel that what they bought was not just a Mercedes Maybach, but also our yearning for love. Inside the car dealership, some customers who bought the car were filled with envy when they saw Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's car delivery ceremony. I envy them for being young and rich, buying a Maybach outright, and I also envy them for finding love at the best age of their lives. After a while, Chen Yang looked at Liu Jai and asked, Miss Liu, can I drive the car away now? The temporary license plate for the vehicle has been applied for and will be affixed. You can drive the vehicle away at any time. For official license plates, you need to apply for them in person at the vehicle management office. Liu Jai nodded respectfully and replied with a smile. Okay, I understand. Chen Yang plans to take care of the license plate registration in the next couple of days when he has some free time. Sir, would it be convenient for me to add your contact information? If you have any questions about the car later, or if you would like to purchase other models, please feel free to contact me anytime. I will definitely provide you with the best service. Liu Jai clearly realized that Chen Yang's ability to easily buy a Mercedes Maybach S680 worth 3 million yuan meant that he must be of extraordinary status. Afterwards, they will inevitably have plans to buy other luxury cars. Therefore, I thought I should build a good relationship with him in advance. Perhaps by leveraging Chen Yang's connections, they can boost their own performance. Can? Chen Yang nodded calmly. He then gave his phone number to Liu Jai. Liu Jai immediately entered the number into her contacts and added a special note. Ring ringed. The next second, Chen Yang's phone rang. "Sir, this is my contact information. My phone is on 24 hours a day, so you can contact me if you have any questions." Liu Jai smiled broadly and said, "This moment," Chen Yang felt an unprecedented sense of kindness. And all of this is because of the allure of money. Without further ado, Chen Yang opened the passenger door and smiled slightly at Yi Qingya. "My princess, please get in the car." Yi Qingya blushed shyly at Chen Yang's sudden action. She couldn't help but roll her eyes at Chen Yang before sitting down in the passenger seat. Chen Yang opened the driver's side door and plopped himself in. "Press the start button, then begin shifting gears and lightly press the accelerator with your foot." Thus, under everyone's gaze, the Maybach S680 slowly drove out of the dealership's main gate, eventually merging into the traffic on the national highway and gradually disappearing from sight. Inside the car, Chen Yang kept his eyes on the road ahead, his hands on the steering wheel. Host detected driving skill proficiency plus 1000. Driving skill improved from beginner to elementary level. Just then, the system's voice immediately echoed in Chen Yang's mind. A flood of memories about driving a car rushed into his mind like a surging tide. Chen Yang quickly digested and absorbed this memory. In just a few seconds, Chen Yang felt as if he had suddenly gained more than 10 years of driving experience. He went from a novice driver to a seasoned driver with many years of experience. His driving skills have improved dramatically. He can perform all sorts of difficult and cool cornering techniques, as well as drifting and tail sliding. He can do it anytime he wants. Chapter 32, Tianheng Trading Company, Shopping with a Beauty. Although Chen Yang had obtained his driver's license, he hadn't driven for a long time, so he inevitably felt rusty at this moment. But now the system has upgraded his driving skills from beginner to elementary. With over a decade of driving experience now in his mind, he was completely free of any worries. At this moment, the Maybach S680 was driving smoothly forward. Chen Yang held the steering wheel with one hand, his eyes revealing confidence. Yi Qingya sat in the passenger seat, secretly watching Chen Yang's movements. Seeing how skilled he was at driving, I couldn't help but be a little surprised. After all, according to her understanding, Chen Yang spent his university years either attending classes or doing part-time jobs in his spare time, and he almost never touched a car. If an ordinary person hasn't driven a car for such a long time, they will feel a bit unfamiliar with it at first. But this was not the case with Chen Yang at all. "Chen Yang, have you ever worked part-time as a designated driver before?" Yi Qingya asked softly, somewhat curious. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang immediately understood why Yi Qingya had asked that question. So she smiled slightly and said, "Yes, not only as a designated driver, but I've also done all sorts of part-time jobs, such as tutor, bartender, waiter, and swimming coach." Before activating the system, Chen Yang did all sorts of part-time jobs to earn a living and save money. But most of those part-time jobs are physically demanding. However, in order to cover up the various abilities the system had given him, Chen Yang made up a random excuse to avoid arousing Yi Qingya's suspicion. "No wonder you drive so well. You don't seem like a novice at all. By the way, where are we going next?" Yi Qingya's eyes revealed a hint of curiosity. "Go to Tianheng Trading Company. I want to buy a few outfits and shoes. You have a good sense of style, so you can give me some suggestions." Chen Yang smiled easily and said, "No problem." Yi Qingya readily agreed. Tianheng Commercial and Trade Center is a well-known shopping center in Pudong District, Shanghai. This place houses major luxury brands from around the world, making it a favorite shopping destination for the wealthy. Clothes, shoes, bags, cosmetics, luxury watches, jewelry. It has everything. Chen Yang often heard his roommates talk about it, but he had never actually been there. Now that he has successfully earned his first pot of gold, he naturally wants to come here and see for himself. Half an hour later, the Maybach S680 drove into the underground parking garage of Tianheng Commercial Shopping Center. Chen Yang and Yi Qingya took the elevator directly to the lobby. At first glance, one can feel the luxurious atmosphere of Tianheng Commercial and Trade Center. Each store here is decorated in a high-end and luxurious style and has its own unique characteristics, giving people an ultimate visual experience. "Chen Yang, have you been here before?" Yi Qingya smiled and asked Chen Yang. Chen Yang shook his head. "No, this is the first time. However, I often hear my roommates mention it, and I know that major domestic and international brands have set up shop here." Yi Qingya and her best friend Su Menjiao had visited the store a few times, so they were quite familiar with it. So she said to Chen Yang, The men's clothing is on the third floor. Let's go up there and have a look. Okay, I'll do as you say. Chen Yang readily agreed. The two took the escalator, enjoying the bustling atmosphere of the shopping mall, and soon arrived at the third floor. Looking around, there's a row of men's clothing brand stores in front of you. Versace, Armani, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. It's dazzling. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye casually walked into a store. A pretty and well-proportioned saleswoman warmly greeted them. Welcome to our Versace offline store, my two guests. I'm Xiao Wu, your sales representative. Excuse me, sir, what style of clothing would you like to buy? Yi Qingye smiled at the saleswoman and said, I plan to buy a few casual and formal outfits. Do you have anything you'd like to recommend? Xiao Wu nodded and said respectfully, Please come this way, gentlemen. After speaking, Xiao Wu led Chen Yang and Yi Qingye to a private area. On the clothes rack in front of me hung various styles of men's casual wear. Madam, all the clothes here are the latest styles this year, and they are also our store's best-selling styles. Take a look, is there anything you like here? Xiao Wu said with a smile on his face. Yi Qingye looked at the clothes in front of her. After a while, he picked out a few shirts, paired them with casual trousers and jeans, and held them up in front of Chen Yang. Then she asked Chen Yang softly, Chen Yang, what do you think of these items? It looks very good. Chen Yang replied with a smile. Okay, then go to the fitting room, put it on and see how it looks. Yi Qingye said with a smile. Okay, Chen Yang readily agreed. Then Chen Yang picked up the clothes and walked towards the fitting room. A moment later, Chen Yang, wearing a white shirt and black trousers, slowly appeared in front of Yi Qingye. As the old saying goes, clothes make the man and a saddle makes the horse. Chen Yang was already handsome and had outstanding looks. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become the campus heartthrob of Shanghai University and the most handsome male god in the finance department. He usually dresses simply, but even so, those cheap clothes cannot hide his handsomeness. Now, Chen Yang has changed into this Versace casual outfit, which has significantly improved his image and made him look more elegant and noble. Those who don't know him might think he's from a wealthy family. Even Yi Qingye was quite shocked to see Chen Yang's new appearance. Qingye, do you think I look good in this outfit? Chen Yang raised the corners of his mouth slightly and asked Yi Qingye. So cool. Chen Yang, you already have a good foundation, and now with this outfit, your aura has obviously improved by several levels. If I didn't know your background, I would have almost thought you were a second-generation rich kid. Yi Qingye was generous with her praise, sincerely complimenting Chen Yang. Chen Yang stood in front of the full-length mirror, examining his own appearance. At that moment, he finally understood the meaning of respect the clothes first, then respect the person. However, simply by changing into a high-end brand outfit, the aura he exuded changed dramatically. It's no wonder that in some situations, some people become the focus of attention simply by standing there, even if they do nothing. And that is the allure of money and power. Qingye, this is all thanks to your discerning eye. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to put on this outfit. Chen Yang said with a smile. Stop saying such nice things to flatter me. The main reason is that you have a great image. No matter what style it is, I think you can easily pull it off with your looks and temperament. To be honest, you're a natural clothes hanger. It's a real shame you're not a model. Yi Qingye waved her hand, not wanting to take all the credit for herself. Her aesthetic sense is not bad, but it's not that amazing. Yi Qingye was aware of this much. The reason why Chen Yang's image and temperament changed so much before and after is mainly because he has a solid foundation. He was over 1.8 meters tall, with an upright posture and slender figure, especially that captivating face, a face that could be described as that of a top-tier succubus. It makes countless girls and men drool with desire, unable to resist wanting to kiss it. Even Gao Meru and Yi Qingye would occasionally have various thoughts about Chen Yang. Chapter 30, Three enemies meet on a narrow road, slandering and marrying a rich woman. As the saying goes, even heroes can't resist the charms of a beautiful woman. This statement also applies to women. Sure enough, Chen Yang only changed his clothes, and his image and charm skyrocketed several levels. Yi Qingye was immediately attracted by the unique aura emanating from Chen Yang, which is not surprising. After all, Chen Yang was already quite handsome, and now, with this appropriate outfit, he looked even more radiant and charming. Isn't it a bit exaggerated? Chen Yang touched his nose and said somewhat embarrassedly. Exaggerated? Not at all, Yi Qingye immediately retorted. Look at you, you're 1.88 meters tall, with a straight figure like a little poplar tree and such handsome features. Plus your slender physique, you're simply a natural clothes hanger. Besides, with your outstanding looks and presence, if you just strike a few poses, people who don't know you will definitely mistake you for a male model. And also, your outfit right now looks amazing on camera from every angle. I bet if you were to shoot a magazine cover, you'd definitely charm a ton of people. Chen Yang shook his head and chuckled, not taking Yikinya's words seriously. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment. But since you said this outfit suits me, I'll buy it. Go try out the other sets. Yikinya's eyes flickered, and thinking about Chen Yang wearing other styles of clothes, she urged him on. Okay, Chen Yang readily agreed. Less than 2 minutes. Chen Yang changed into a sky blue round-neck polo shirt and paired it with Mickey Mouse-colored cargo pants. He walked out of the fitting room and stood in front of Yikinya. Although this outfit is a different style, you can pull it off perfectly and show a different temperament. It seems that my earlier judgment was indeed correct. Yikinya saw Chen Yang's outfit, and her words were full of praise. Okay, then I'll trouble you to buy a few more sets for me, so it'll be convenient for daily life and work rotation.